Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, brought to you in part by Mint Mobile, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, streaming, all sorts of good stuff. I'm operating on 2.5 hours of sleep. Woo! It's going to be one of those days. Sitting right beside me, Chris Carr is here, ladies and gentlemen. Chris, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm caffeinated. I slept for like 9 hours, John.
So good for you. Good for you.
My buddy's here, so
She
I'm
got
having
so
a great
much
day.
rest, her hair curled.
That's true. I slept in curlers. I'm rejuvenated, y'all.
And sitting right beside Chris, returning, Amy Newman is back, ladies and gentlemen. Amy, how you doing today?
Great. I think I got right in the middle of the amounts of sleep you two did, so I'll balance the table. Very excited to be back.
That's a good place to be. Yeah, Rob's. I got Rob off editing the new episode of Designing Hollywood. Yeah, Rob got fired.
You got Rob off?
Rob got robbed. No. Rob is off editing that. You'll see him a little bit later today on, what is it? Best movie, worst movie?
Best, worst, yeah.
I got a whole bunch of stuff coming today. Sitting back there, of course, joining you guys in the live chat, Ray Orr is here. Ray, how you doing?
Rings of Power, baby. What time does that premiere today?
It's 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
6 p.m. our time. I'll probably pop it
good.
on the theater room. Come by. All right,
That's
sitting
good.
right beside him, of course, producing today's show, Jonathan Voico is here. Jonathan, how you doing?
Producing, we'll take that lightly, but yeah.
Quote unquote, air quotes, producing. Yeah, not gonna lie, a couple hours sleep. So I went to go see Lord of the Rings: Rings of Power in theater last night. Got home, edited the right out of the theater reaction, immediately started watching She-Hulk, then wrote show notes, got to bed at about 3, up at about 6, ready to go. And then I forgot to send out the show notes that I had written. So yeah. Woo! Anyway, guys,
we got through it.
It's going to be a good one.
We got
through it.
We are so glad you guys are here joining us today. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break the show down into 2 parts. In the first half of the show, we're going to take some predetermined topics. And in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. How do you get a comment or question on? Well, number 1, you got to be watching live. Number 2, when we get to the end of the main topics, we'll announce that we're opening up the super chats. And when we do, that is your cue that you can start firing in your thoughts, theories, opinions, speculation, questions, and we will address those in the second half of the show. A little bit of housekeeping. Want to remind you guys that if you need your audio only version of the John Campea Show, because you need a podcast fix, maybe you're jogging or at the gym, there is the audio-only feed that we simply call the John Campea Show podcast. It is available on your favorite podcasting app of choice. Also, with all the new after shows we're doing, we started a new podcast feed that is simply called After Show. So just go ahead and search for After Show at John Campea Show Podcast, and you can subscribe to that also today. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into a couple of off the tops here, shall we? And I really love this first one. The first one is this. Now, of course, shocked the world, not so much, but kind of a little while ago when they announced that Joker 2 was in fact not just being talked about or planned, but it's actually happening. They're going to go into production on it this year. We already know for a fact that Joaquin is back. We found out very quickly that Lady Gaga is going to play Harley Quinn. Then just the other week, we found out Zazie Beetz is coming back. And now maybe my favorite cast announcement. Brendan Gleeson has joined the cast of Joker 2, or as they call it, Joker Folie à Deux, which even though I took French for 8 years in school, I'm still not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Brendan Gleeson to me is a god. Yeah. I love this guy. Everything he appears in, he makes better. You go all the way back to Amish in Braveheart. I mean, right from that first scene when he plays the rock throwing game with Mel Gibson. I mean, I love him in that movie. Then I think maybe one of the most underappreciated, underrated films of all time is In Bruges.
Yeah.
That he did with
so good.
Colin Farrell. So good at it. But then everything he pops up in. Like we just did for Movie Club the other day, Live, Die, Repeat, Second Chance, All Things, Tom Cruise, whatever the name of the movie they're calling it now. We just did that. He was so good in that. And then, of course, Paddington 2. Ask Nick Cage, the greatest sequel of all time. I mean, like he appears in something like that and he just brings a different level of life to it. I love this guy and I was super excited. The only other name that I think might have made me a little bit more excited is either maybe a Chiwetel Ejiofor being in Joker 2 or a David Morse David Morse is like my
Oh.
all-time favorite character actor. Like I love that guy. But
That'd
I
be a
mean,
good get.
Brennan Gleeson.
Not
so-
Lizzo.
What's that?
Lizzo would be.
Lizzo
dope.
would be great in
That
that.
would be a
God,
Actually,
I
if they're
would be all
going
about
musical
it.
with
In
it.
a movie like this, why not?
I want her to have a flute solo and then just bash the shit out of somebody with that flute.
But I am more on board. I'm not gonna lie with Brennan Gleeson. I'd be more on board with
That's
that.
fair.
So I
He can do it.
love this news. This thing just keeps getting wackier too. Like it's gonna be musical, but I don't know if it's a true full musical or a movie that will have musical numbers because there's a difference. So I don't know, but I love this news. Chris, you hear about this? What do you think?
He's amazing. He's an incredible actor. In Bruges is one of my favorite as well. He's incredible in the Harry Potter films.
Oh, that's
I
right,
love
as
him. Mad Eye Moody.
Mad Eye Moody.
Mad Eye Moody. He's wonderful. Oh, look at them. Look at these two guys before everything just goes tits up in this movie. It's a great moment. I think
I
this
just
is
turn it off
wonderful.
there and pretend it's a
Yeah, and
happy
it's-
movie. It's just two guys going on a trip.
Sure is how it was marketed. I remember going to see it and being like, this is a very different film than the trailer. But I think this is great. You know, adding talent is never a bad idea, as you always say. And if this is a true spectacle movie musical, I'm really interested to see what he's going to do in this. I want to have him have a dance number. Give him the flute to murder somebody with.
Oh my God, that would be so fun.
think it'd be
Seeing him
great.
do a dance number.
A Brendan
Love it.
Gleeson Lizzo duet.
Dance off.
Please.
Oh,
That's all I want. It's canon now. It has to happen.
just
It's
open
right
the
up here.
doors to the $1 Billion Club right now. Okay, Amy,
Yeah.
number one, like, what are your thoughts in general about what we're seeing so far in the formation of Joker 2? And what do you think about the addition of Brendan Gleeson?
You know, it's so funny because I'm going to be completely honest. I did not care for Joker. It was just not my
I
bag.
know a few people that
I'm in the same
didn't
camp.
like it. Yeah.
And I feel like this movie is just trying against all odds to get me excited for it. Like when I heard there was going to be a sequel, I was like, God, no. And then honestly, it's solely just, I love Lady Gaga doing a press tour. She's like unhinged in just that perfect artist way that's so fun to watch. Like I can't wait to see what she has to say about, you know, being in this movie. And then, yeah, you throw someone like Brendan Gleeson in, suddenly I'm getting kind of excited, a little curious to see what they do with it. I think there were really interesting elements to the first Joker movie, and it just didn't gel for me. So maybe they'll find something that works for me. And if not, I think it'll at least be interesting.
You know, interesting side note. His son is also turning into a
Incredible.
really
Donald
incredible
is
actor.
incredible.
Donald he's sorry, I keep mispronouncing Donald. Donald Gleeson. I just watched the first episode of the new series he's got with Steve Carell.
Patient.
The
Yeah.
Patient. Oh my God.
Too deep.
Are you
and
too
it's-
in?
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, okay. So I saw the first episode and then I walked in on Ann watching the last 5 seconds of the last episode and I just see Steve Carell saying, hello. And then the screen goes black.
Yep.
So, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you get a chance, and of course, Donald's popped up on a lot of really, really cool stuff. So yeah, talent seems to run in the family. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Brendan Gleeson joins Joker 2. I'm tremendously excited about that. What about you? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's get into a second off the top, and that is this. As we fly off to make-believe land where we think all of our wishes come true. Yeah, so Rian Johnson, I don't know if you heard, directed a Star Wars movie, and it was called The Last Jedi. And I will tell you, while it is my second least favorite Star Wars movie, not counting that abomination of a Clone Wars animated movie, but I mean, obviously Rise of Skywalker was, in my opinion, completely horrible. And my second least favorite is probably The Last Jedi, but I still enjoyed it. Like, I still liked it. There were certainly elements of it that I loved, elements of it that I really could have done without. But it is fair to say that it is a very divisive film.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who quite enjoy it. I lean more towards enjoying it, but there are a lot of
That's fun.
people that really dislike it and really hate it. And that's what it just is what it is. So it's one of those films. And Rian himself kind of became, as the director of the film, became the face of that division. He became kind of the poster child of the divisiveness of the film. And dare I even say, fairly or unfairly, kind of became the face of the divisiveness within the Star Wars fandom itself. And that was Rian Johnson. Now, there were early plans for Rian Johnson to do a trilogy of future Star Wars films that weren't going to be based around any of the existing, time era of those. It was going to be at a totally different time era, going to be totally new characters, all that kind of stuff. Well, that kind of went away. But now Rian Johnson is talking about it again. And he is saying that, well, no, this trilogy could very well still be alive. This comes from some folks at Variety. Rian Johnson said the following. I've stayed close to Kathleen Kennedy, and we get together often and talk about it, the new trilogy. Johnson said about his new Star Wars trilogy 5 years after it was first announced. It's just at this point a matter of scheduling and when it can happen. It would break my heart if I were finished, if I couldn't get back in that sandbox at some point. And that comes to us from Rian Johnson. All right. Well, Ryan, be prepared to have your heart broken. They are not going to do, now listen to me carefully. They are not going to do a Rian Johnson directed trilogy of Star Wars films. They're not. Lucasfilm knows that, things like The Mandalorian and the excitement of some of the upcoming projects we have going on, that has kind of started to calm things in the Star Wars universe. Obviously, there's still incredibly toxic remnants and things like that. Absolutely. But things are calmer right now than they were. If you were to announce, and I think that they know this, and I say this as a Rian Johnson fan, I whether you're talking about Looper or whatever, I think Rian Johnson, and obviously Knives Out, which was brilliant. I say this as a Rian Johnson fan. Do not interpret this as coming from the mouth of some Rian Johnson hater. But the reality is, if you're going to be pragmatic about this, you announce Rian Johnson directing another Star Wars movie, that's all people are going to be talking about. And I don't mean in a good way. I don't mean positively about this new movie we're all excited about. It's going to be all about the divisiveness of Rian Johnson and blah, blah. And they know this. You can't do it. Now, that said, what I could see happening, and I said this months ago, and I stand by it, what I could see happening is this trilogy happening with different directors. I could see Rian Johnson being one of the writers or being a producer or whatever, maybe kind of shepherding it a little bit. And while that would raise the eyebrows and ire of some people, it would not be as bad as if he was directly with his hands on the wheel and directly in the director's chair. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I could much easily see the idea of him being a part of a new trilogy, but I just don't see any reality where they would greenlight Rian Johnson directing a new trilogy. Even though I'm a huge fan of his, I just can't see that happening. I don't know, Chris, you hear about this. Ryan saying, hey, it's still possible. We could still do this. Can you see them making a Rian Johnson directed new trilogy?
Well, first of all, no. And I say that as someone who really enjoyed The Last Jedi. I'm a Last Jedi apologist. Fight me, chat. I don't care. I liked it. But I don't see how you do that trilogy, because unless he then does the JJ where we're going to ignore a film and then do whatever we want, I don't see how this comes to fruition in a nice organic way, unless it's taking those concepts, some of those things about Force users being just anyone who happens to have those abilities, anyone who has a chock full of metachlorians. It doesn't have to be people who are directly tied to the Emperor or the Skywalkers or things like that. That's what I liked about that story, was expanding the Star Wars universe. Yeah. Force users could be anyone, anywhere.
As they always had been in Star Wars lore.
And then it just felt like we kept getting smaller and smaller with that. So that was why I liked it. But I don't think we would have him do that trilogy for that reason, and also for what you were talking about. My issue with him being a producer on this is I feel like then you set him up to be a Kathleen Kennedy. If the trilogy is great, oh, it's because Rian Johnson had nothing to do with this. If the trilogy is terrible, oh, it's because Rian Johnson was producing this, the way that people do that with Kathleen Kennedy. And I feel like it's a lose-lose situation then for folks. If his story gets told and that's what's the most important, I think that's great. And I do like the idea of him continuing to work within the Star Wars universe. I just don't know if it's going to be at the capacity he's talking about right now.
I agree with you, but the one difference is that the reaction you're talking about comes after the movie is done and has been seen.
Yes.
I think if he's in the director's chair, that's all the story is, even before the movie comes out. So I feel like the movie itself becomes defeated before it even comes out. Whereas if he's just a producer, people will go in and see it, and then they'll decide where to ascribe the credit or the blame afterwards. Anyway, Amy, you hear about this. Can you see Rian Johnson directing a new trilogy of Star Wars films?
No, I agree with what you're saying, that, especially with people, and granted, it's hard to make every Star Wars fan happy, but with things like, The Mandalorian and Andor's looking really promising, it does feel like they're starting to right that ship of public opinion a little bit, or at least fandom opinion a little bit. I don't know why you'd throw him back in, because clearly that's not going to make a lot of the fandom happy, and I just don't I wish, believe me, I wish for myself this was how it worked, that you could just, I would just come on this show every day and be like, and I'm going to be in it. They're looking forward to working with you. But unfortunately, not quite how this town works.
Honestly, the only other thing I can think of that would get like the fandom even more riled up would be if like Andor starts with an opening crawl that says somehow the Emperor has returned again, and I mean that's the only thing I can possibly.
I mean, maybe
see.
We didn't get rid of all the clones.
The Rian Johnson Jar Jar trilogy that we've all been hoping for.
That could do it as well. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think? Rian Johnson is saying that, him and Lucasfilm are still talking about it. He thinks it can get done. I don't think that's reality. Maybe you do. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move into the brand new segment that we have here on the John Campea Show, where you not only get to send in a question, we get to hear your angelic, dulcet tones as you call in and leave a voicemail with a question. And this is what we call our Mint Mobile Hotline Question of the Day, brought to you by the folks over at Mint Mobile. You can send in a question, by the way, anytime 24/7. Just hop in your phone and punch in 951-268-4259, and maybe you'll hear your voice on the show. So, what is our Mint Mobile Hotline question of the day?
Hey, John, this is James. I was giving you a call because I watched that Black Panther clip, and it said that the queen said, I lost my entire family. Does Shuri die? Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right, James, thanks a lot for sending that in. And listen, that is one of the most interesting parts of a tremendous trailer. That Black Panther trailer is like nuts. Like, we did a list a while ago of our most anticipated MCU films, and for me, Black Panther 2 was a little bit further down the list. And that is because we lost our star, and through a poor decision, in my opinion, we lost the main character. They got rid of T'Challa, and unfortunately, we lost Chadwick Boseman. So I said, for me, that kind of tempers my excitement a bit. But man, if anything pumped that excitement back up, that trailer was incredible. But one of the most interesting moments in it is when you see T'Challa's mother as queen saying, I am the queen of the most powerful country in the world. And what was the exact wording? My whole family is dead.
My whole family is gone.
My whole
I've
family
lost-
is gone.
yeah.
My whole
Lost
family
everything?
something
I've lost-
along those lines.
I lost my entire family.
There we go.
She alluded to the dinner table being empty. And that is very interesting because it brings up one of two possibilities. Possibility number one, which is probably the most likely, that speech happens in a flashback early in the film, alluding to the snap. Because we know that T'Challa got snapped, and we know that Shuri got snapped. And her husband was dead at that point. So that would totally fit the scenario. That would totally fit it. Her saying, my whole family is gone. However, at the same time, there is a very interesting possibility that this is something that gets said later in the film. Now, we know from toy leaks and things like that at some point Shuri will be donning the Black Panther costume. I've said for a while that I believe multiple people in this film will be donning the Black Panther costume. I don't know that for sure. I'm just saying that that's my belief. So it could mean, theoretically, if you want to stretch a bit, Shuri dons the Black Panther costume at some point and she doesn't make it and she gets killed. And then it's about who becomes Black Panther next, and the Queen is all that. So I'm going to say this. Right now, I will lean towards, with no background information, I will lean towards the notion this is probably a flashback scene referring to the fact that her kids are gone, her husband is dead, and it's all because of the snap. But that possibility does exist, that it could be for something else. Anyway, Amy, you hear this, you see that part of the trailer. Is she talking about current tense, her whole family's dead, or do you think it's a flashback? Or is there a third option?
I don't think it's going to be a present tense. I don't think they're going to kill Shuri. I don't know exactly what that means. It could be a flashback. It could just be more of a, because did she say I've lost my family? Is that what we landed
My whole
on?
family is gone or whatever.
Yeah, because here's the thing, two things. A, I don't think they would take Shuri out unless they absolutely had to, because at this point, you've lost Chadwick Boseman, Daniel Kaluuya is not coming back. Why would you take out another one of your big actors? And B, I think if they were going to kill Shuri, if they were going to do something that major, they wouldn't be leaking it in the trailer. So for that reason, I think this is alluding to something else.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, what do you think?
I think it's a blip moment, or there's something that happens where we think maybe Shuri's dead, but oh no, she's
No,
not.
Marvel would not
they
do a
would never
fake
do
death.
that.
Come on,
They would
wouldn't
never
do
do a
that.
fake death. They're nice people who'd never do that. Don't trust the off-screen deaths, kids. Because I do agree with you. I think there's going to be multiple people donning the suit, and I think that Shuri ultimately, this isn't where her heart lies. She's a creator. She's a builder. She's a scientist. And while she's definitely going to do her familial duty, I don't see her being Black Panther for a long time, but I see her being part of the MCU for quite a while. She's so beloved.
Ray, you got a theory on this? Was Shuri going to die, or are they just talking about when she got snapped away?
She's like, Shuri.
Who's Shuri? No,
Who's
you
making
know
the
what?
Stallion?
I think it has something to do with the blip. I really do. She comes back. If she's dead, she comes back. That's it.
It is, after all, the Marvel Cinematic Fake Death universe. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think? Is that part of the trailer alluding to flashback when she was snapped away, or could it be tipping their hand a little bit about what's something's going to happen in the film? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with that down, we're going to move into our main topics here today. But before we do, we want to take a second to hear from one of the sponsors of today's episode, our friends at Stamps.com. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this episode, Stamps.com. Guys, you know the holiday season has a way of sneaking up on us, and we are never as prepared as we think we are. And if you're a small business owner, you know how important it is to get ready for the insane holiday season. And even if you just got a lot of family or friends that you're going to be shipping stuff to, now's the time to get ready. Luckily for us, Stamps.com has everything you need to make your life a whole lot easier. Because Stamps.com is your one-stop shop for all of your shipping and mailing needs. Get access to the USPS and UPS services you need to run your business right from your computer. Because with inflation on the rise, every single dollar counts. Protect your margins with major discounts on USPS and UPS rates up to 86% off. Stamps.com offers a stress-free solution for everyone. Use Stamps.com to print postage wherever you do business. All you need is a computer and a printer. And if you need a package pickup, you can easily schedule it through your Stamps.com dashboard. So get out ahead of the holiday chaos this year. Get started with Stamps.com today. Sign up with the promo code CAMPEA for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the page, and enter the code. And thank you to our friends at Stamps.com for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Just a reminder, guys, links to all of our sponsors and their promo codes are down in the description of this video. And when you support our sponsors, you're actually supporting us in the show. So thank you guys for that support. And thank you again to Stamps.com. All right, with that down, let's move into our main topics here today. Amy, what is our first main topic today?
Our first topic comes to us from Harris. Hey, John. Okay, first, let me say that I think Yaya Abdul-Mateen is awesome, and I loved him in Candyman. But I kind of feel like he just slapped me and my fellow genre movie-loving fans in the face with the remark he made saying that acting in movies like Aquaman is clown work. Is that how he sees it? Is that how he sees those of us who love this form of entertainment? Does he think we're not worthy of giving his best effort? I must admit it's a real turnoff, and I'm suddenly less interested in seeing Aquaman 2. Maybe I shouldn't feel that way, and I'm sure I'll watch it, but if it was coming out tomorrow, I'd probably not see it. What do you guys think?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Harris. And let's just say, you guys have heard me say this before, Yaya Abdul-Mateen is a wonderful talent. He's a tremendous talent. And I wasn't a big fan of his Candyman movie, to be honest with you, but he carried the film. He absolutely carried the film. He's got a terrific screen presence, all that kind of stuff. That also said, you guys, some of you guys might remember, I was one of the only guys in the world that was super big and super high on Robert Pattinson getting cast as Batman. I loved that casting. Even when the whole world was, Twilight boy. Yeah, I thought he was great casting. But when he came out and said that, he wasn't even going to work out for it, whatever, I got really pissed off at that. I felt really stupid because, like, asshole, I've been defending you. I've been thinking this is great. And I got really upset that as a fan, because it's like, you got given this iconic role. You should be giving your best effort. And whatever it turns out to be, that's fine, but give your best effort. Now, it turns out he came out and said he was joking about that. And obviously, when you see the movie, he got himself into the best shape of his life. But at the time, man, I was really irate. I was like, we fans deserve your best. And yeah, maybe this isn't, High Life or whatever like that. Maybe this is not an auteur film, but a lot of us love these films and a lot of us love this character. And if you get the honor of being given this character, you owe it your best and to focus on it like it is the greatest role of all time. And so that was kind of my feeling on this. Well, Yaya Abdul-Mateen may have just done something dumber than that. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety who write the following. He's made it, talking about Yaya Abdul-Mateen, he's made it a priority to balance out comic book tentpoles like Aquaman with more serious dramatic fare. The actor recently told Vulture that acting in a movie like Aquaman is quote-unquote clown work, so it's important for him to flex his acting muscles in other projects. Everything should be about getting to the truth, but sometimes you got to know which movie or genre you're in, Abdul-Mateen said. Something like Aquaman, that's clown work. Aquaman is not the trial of the Chicago 7, which, by the way, he was also very good in. He was, like, really, really good in that. I want to go back up into that, something said a little bit earlier in that. Bring that back up again just for a second there, Jonathan. When he says, the actor recently told Vulture in a movie like Aquaman is clown work, so it's important for him to flex his acting muscles in other projects. It's important to flex your muscles in other projects. All right. Let me preface this by giving this disclaimer. 2 disclaimers. Disclaimer number 1, this guy's a tremendous talent. I would be, if there was a movie I was looking forward to, I would be excited anytime, 24/7, if I heard his name was getting attached to it. He's tremendously talented. Number 2, all of us say things in the spur of the moment that sometimes we wish we had worded differently. Me included, maybe me most of all.
Daily for me, Lord. Every segment. Every segment.
So let's keep that in mind. Sometimes you just say things the way it is, just bobbling around in your head, and you go, well, that didn't come across, that represents the way I really. Okay, completely understand. Let's just keep that in mind, okay? Okay, with all that said, so you're saying that a movie like Aquaman, with all of its worldwide fans, and all the people who are excited about it and look forward to it and dreamed of seeing an Aquaman on the big screen for a lot of years and all that, they're not worth the effort of quote unquote flexing your talent muscles. Like there's some roles. There are some roles that are, that's a little harsh. But it's a clown role. It's a clown role.
Maybe he meant like, because I don't know, I went to theater school. Maybe he meant like classical, like commedia clown work.
I don't know. Look, it's, to be fair, like, yeah, we go into watching Aquaman. We are not expecting to watch Shakespeare. But what we do expect is that every creative professional involved in that project, from the writers, the directors, the costume designers, the set builders, and the actors, are going to come into that with the respect that there are millions and millions and millions of people around the world who are dying to see that project, and they deserve you looking at that saying, I'm going to give the absolute 100% best effort I got. I am going to flex my muscles here. It's worth the strain, because this is a role that thousands of other actors would have killed to have had. And newsflash, Yaya, you're never going to be in a movie that gets as many eyeballs on it as Aquaman did. So you can call it clown work all you want. You think Robert Downey Jr., Academy Award nominated actor Robert Downey Jr., looked at the role of Tony Stark as clown work? No. One of the reasons the MCU works so well is because he came into it and poured everything he had into it. Sir Anthony Hopkins talked about, when he was doing the press for the Thor thing, he talked about, he had to tap into things about him as an actor he never actually did before. And he was like, so you're above Anthony Hopkins. Okay, sure. You're above Anthony Hopkins. Why not? You just got to understand and be careful about the way you word things. Now, again, I'm not going to be surprised at all if he comes out later and says, look, I read what I said, and I was aghast. Like, that's not how I meant it. And maybe we're misunderstanding it. Totally open to that. But on the surface, you're not wrong when you wrote in to say, I feel like you just kind of slapped me as a fan in the face. Say, yeah, you're not worth my effort. Pay me my money. I'll give you what I think you deserve. but you don't deserve my best. You don't deserve it. And I'm just going to approach this. The great Konstantin Stanislavski, of course, said there are no small roles, only small actors.
There are no clown parts.
There are no clown parts.
Unless you're
Only
playing
clown
clowns.
actors.
Hey, listen, I'm not the world's biggest Aquaman movie fan, although I did have a lot of fun with the first Aquaman movie. But yeah, if you're a diehard fan of that, I'd be insulted as an audience being told you are not worth my best. That's insulting. So I don't know, Chris. You hear that? I mean, you constantly tell me that doing this show is clown work, and that's fine. I accept that.
No,
And
I
with
don't.
That. I live with that. But
I constantly talk about, because we've talked about this when people do that. Are you ever going to do proper acting?
Oh, yeah.
And it's the
Yeah, that's right.
The fuck did you just say to me? Because people would constantly do that for hosting, for voiceover, for commercial work, and a lot of times it'd be said to me by my friends who are working as baristas or nannies. And again, there's nothing wrong with those fields of work, but it'd be, but why is my acting lesser than doing any other kind of day job? I don't understand this. Can't we all just be happy when we book things, no matter
No.
what they are, and be happy we're
No.
doing it? Jonathan doesn't like that. That's
No.
fine. Taylor's always happy for me. Taylor's sacrificing goats for me to book things more.
at midnight.
That's the kind of commitment I need. I will say on Yaya's Twitter, he retweeted this article with a GIF that there's no sound on it, but it seems like there maybe was some misquoting or something that happened here.
hey, yeah, we got to be open to that.
And he seems like he loves being Black Manta. I mean, that's the photo on his Twitter account too. That's his little cover photo
Yep.
there. So I really want to believe that he loves being this character and doesn't feel this way, because I do understand the sentiment here of, hey, sometimes different roles call for different forms of acting when you are working within genre fields, right? You're not going to bring the same approach always to every field. However, much like Stanislavski tells us, acting is always you given acting truthfully in imaginary circumstances. That's the core of all acting, right? So whether that's being on a green screen and acting like you're fighting a boy who maybe is messing around with some fish, or you're on trial, you know, or you're on trial and doing a historic piece, it's still you living truthfully through those situations. Sometimes you're just going to have a more heightened sense of your acting, or maybe you're taking more comedic liberties or things like that. I just want to believe that he really loves doing this
Or
part.
maybe he meant it
I
like
don't
on a
think he meant
physical
it,
level,
man.
like it's just so much more like physical emoting, and
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know.
There's too many feelings that are going on
Too many
today. I mean,
feelings.
when did clown work actually? When did clowns become such a bad thing? I mean, he has a mask, probably most of the movie, a mask on. I mean, how much of your acting skills can you
Well,
actually?
he didn't have it on very much in the previous stuff
Yeah.
we saw him in, so we'll see how much he does or
You've
doesn't
never
wear
had
it
to do a math class.
in the
I'm
next
just
one.
saying, I like this guy. If like my roommate says, hey, they like Family Guy, I don't like Family Guy, just because I think it's like I don't know, the comedy is just weird. But I like South Park, but it doesn't mean like it doesn't. What he says is like gonna be is like hurtful towards the fan
I don't
base.
know. You tell the fans, yeah, being in the movies you love is clown work. I mean, like again, I believe, because we've all done it. I have done it. I think we have a concept in our head, and then sometimes the way we manifest it in the words we use is later we regret the way we said it. It's like,
Right,
that's
right.
not what I meant. That's not
Right.
how I meant. Like, I remember I was having this conversation with Ann once, and it's like, we were talking about punctuation matters. Because like if I said a statement, I love women, somebody needs to make me a sandwich. Like, if you say that the wrong way, now, follow me through.
You said that to my sister, and you're still around.
but you gotta follow that through. Like if you meant that as two completely separate concepts and conversations, I love women. Separate conversation now. Someone needs to make me a sandwich. Like, but punctuation matters.
Well,
Like,
and-
if you say it a certain way and it comes across a certain way, you might slap your head and go, "Oh my God, that's not the way I meant it to sound."
And we're all reading the text of this. I mean,
Right.
there is the
Yes.
fact of the matter that I have not seen the footage of this interview, and Lord knows I've had text conversations where I'm like, "Why are you so mad at me?" And the person's like, "I'm literally not." And I gotta say, to me, it's almost like, you have to know what movie or what genre you're in. Like, absolutely, it's just that phrase "clown work" that I think is gonna haunt him.
Yeah, and again, if that's just not how he meant to manifest his thoughts, I feel bad for him. But you got to be careful how you say stuff like that with a very touchy fan base. You
In
just
the
gotta be
credits, it'll
careful with
say
it.
clown work, and then
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about that? Yaya Abdul-Mateen has said that being an Aquaman is clown work, but do you think that probably just didn't properly convey what it was he was trying to say? Do you think, no, that's what he meant? Did he sees himself as a higher up? I don't know. How do you guys feel about it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. And remember, kids, punctuation matters. All right. With that down, let's move into main topic number 2.
Yes.
Amy,
Do it.
what is Ray so excited about?
I feel like this was just handpicked for me coming back. Edward Miguel said, "Good afternoon, everyone. I don't think we all appreciate just how much heartbreak can feel good in a place like this. So AMC needs to make another one of those commercials. Yep, AMC is making a sequel to the Nicole Kidman commercial. John, I know you loathe that commercial, so what do you think about them doing another one?"
All right, thanks a lot, Edward, for saying that. So just to get everybody caught up to speed, for those of you who don't go to AMC theaters or whatever, there is a Nicole Kidman commercial, an AMC commercial starring Nicole Kidman, advertising AMC theaters to people already sitting in AMC theaters. But still, it's this commercial plays, and it plays before every single movie, adding to the already half-hour time you've got to wait between when the theaters say the movie's going to start and when it actually starts. Be that as it may, they're making another one. This comes to us from the folks over at Vulture, who wrote the following. Screenwriter Billy Ray wrote the original commercial and, in an interview with Vanity Fair, revealed that a sequel is in the works. "I got a text from the chairman of AMC about a month ago asking me if I would write the next one. And, of course, the answer to that is yes," Ray said. "It's already written." He also confirmed that it was the AMC star herself, Nicole Kidman, who asked the prolific screenwriter to write the thing in the first place. He first agreed to do it for free, but then his agent made him come to his senses. That comes to us from the folks over at Vulture. All right, let me make one thing clear. I do not think this is a bad commercial. On the contrary, it is a wonderful commercial. Anything that espouses the glory and the magic of going to the movies is good by me, and this commercial is wonderful. But again, it is the use of the commercial that drives me crazy because of two important things. One, we already live, in North America at least any rate, we live in a system where they tell you a movie starts at 7, but it doesn't start at 7. It starts at 7:32. And I'm used to the internet going to free websites and having to watch ads. It's a free website. Hell, ads pop up in the John Campea Show. It's a free show. But when you've paid $15 to go to a thing, you deserve to not have to sit through a half hour of ads. Then on top of all that now, they add every single time. I go, and you're talking to a guy who goes to the theater 2, sometimes 3 times a week. So 2 or 3 times a week, I got to sit there and hear, "Somehow heartbreak feels good in a place like this." Every single fucking time.
Do you stand up and put your hand over your heart as you should?
I salute and take my hat off.
No,
Yeah.
I want to stand up, pull me down my pants, and piss on the screen. That's what I want to do.
Well, we all have our kink, John.
It just drives me so crazy. It drives me so nuts. And here's the thing. This is the part that gets me the most. You are playing a commercial trying to tell people to come to AMC theaters, to people who have already come to an AMC theater and are sitting in your AMC theater right now. I've made this analogy before, but it's perfect, so I'll say it again. It's like trying to get a girl to look at your Tinder profile right when you're in the middle of having sex with her. It makes no sense. And so adding to the already way too long time you're sitting in the theater waiting for your damn movie to start to play something we've already seen 50 times, asking me to do something I'm currently in the process of doing, just drives me a little crazy. But the commercial itself is wonderful. Anyway, Chris, in your own twisted, warped mind, you think this is good news. What do you think?
I'm just happy all the time. I can't help it. This is my resting face. I mean, hi, Nicole. Look at her. Look at her. Yeah, enjoy, Ray. So, I mean, it's a great spot, and I think it's hilarious now when everyone just interacts with it now, and everyone's like, "Quiet, she's talking."
Oh, last time I went to the theater, I think the round of applause for this ad was double what it was when the movie started.
Yeah.
Like, it was thunderous.
People have just, it's memeified. It's part of pop culture now. It's like The Room where you throw spoons at the screen. It's a communal experience now. I want to buy the enamel pin of her doing this. It makes sense they're upping it again. And, you know, if you've had too many drinks at MacGuffin's in an AMC, I know that's not your jam, John, but sometimes it's mine. I need to be reminded where I'm at.
I'm
I'm at a movie theater. Okay.
It reminds me of a little
Me
bit.
right now.
By the way, the other thing that this commercial lets everybody know is that nobody goes to AMC theaters because Nicole shows up
always
and the
empty.
theater's completely empty. But this reminds me of Sony seeing a bunch of memes going around for Morbius and thinking, everybody loves Morbius.
We should put it back in
We should
theaters.
get it back in theaters. And when they see all these people reacting to this thing that they do, everybody loves it. We got to do. And again, I love the commercial. You know what? The one thing I'm grateful for, at least it's a different damn commercial. At least
Yeah.
I won't have to watch that same thing again for another 500 times. I got to watch a different one for 500 times. Anyway, Amy, you hear about this? What's your position on Heartbreak Gate?
You know when your favorite movie announces they're doing a sequel and you're like excited, but then you're a little scared because you're like, can it live up?
Can it live up to it?
That's
Yeah.
my biggest fear. Like, is it as good?
Will she have the same pantsuit?
The dramatic. I mean, God, you
Will
want to
there be more
talk
people
about
in the theater this time?
Nicole Kidman? You want to talk about giving your all to like a clown work project? She is selling every word
Oh, she's a
of that
master.
model. It's amazing.
She's a mess. She's a goddess. Of course she does. Look at that. Look at that.
What is she seeing? What is
I
she
wanna
doing?
Walk down that hallway.
She knows
now.
heartbreak's about to feel good in a place like that. I'm thrilled. Can't wait. I've been debating where to get my movie pass at, and this may have just won over. Point one for AMC.
Say, this is a really creepy hallway for a movie theater.
That it looks like The Shining.
As
twins
you
are
think,
gonna
it's a
come
little bit
out.
of shy. If she steps one step to the side, we're gonna see two little girls on tricycles behind her.
Come watch with us, Nicole.
First of all, this
Looks like
girl is
Severance.
getting paid for this
Oh
commercial.
yeah. Oh yeah. She
The first one, I think she was making 120. It was 128 million or something like that
No.
for the campaign.
She did not get paid 128 million.
I remember we did a story. It was like 100 something, for sure.
It was like
she got
$100.
paid. the
not
same
not
amount
her.
for Rock-
They're spending that much money on the actual marketing,
Okay. So she
including
got paid 6 times what The Rock gets paid for a
my
major motion
my
picture.
only problem with this current trailer is me and you were there at Creed opening night.
Yes, we were.
She wasn't there. She's not watching Creed.
You're right. That was a lie.
Why does it have to be Creed she's watching?
We would have noticed
seen
that.
her.
Damn right. These things lie. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Are you ready for Ticket Watch when the
Watch.
new commercial for AMC
Oh my
Nicole
God.
Kidman comes out? Sure, it's going to be like when the first Phantom Menace trailers played. People are going to buy out all the tickets just to see the trailer and then walk out.
Gonna line up outside the Burbank AMC.
You're going to just have a mass exodus like the second the ad's over. Like, man, we didn't actually want to see the.
You know what?
movie.
Hey, bring up that Nicole picture again, walking down the creepy hallway. Here's the thing. Let's start it right now. I'm calling on the world to cosplay in this outfit
If
when
I
they
could
launch
find
the
it.
new commercial. When they launch the new commercial, I am calling upon the world to cosplay in that outfit.
That's an
Come in
expensive outfit.
Can we get matching ones?
You know, John,
All right.
David and I traveled to the Holy Land of Porter Ranch to visit this location.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
So we could totally all go on a little field trip and
Which is the
reenact
outdoor, the theater from the outside shot of this thing. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Are you excited for this new thing? Are you irritated by it as me? Whatever you guys think, jump down in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with that down, we're going to take a second here and thank another sponsor of today's show. They're one of our new sponsors here, our friends at True Classic. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, True Classic. This brand new sponsor has the absolute best fitting t-shirts that a man can buy. Finding the right t-shirt with a little bit of a dad bod is incredibly frustrating. Most t-shirts are either way too tight on your gut or look way too big and boxy. You're not in high school anymore and it's time to upgrade. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men finally get a better fit at an affordable price. And the John Campea Show viewers and listeners get access to the best deal they offer. For a limited time only, get 25% off using the code CAMPEA at trueclassic.com. Look, you and I both know that almost all of men's t-shirts are designed to look good on skinny models with six-packs. But let's be honest, that's not most of us. True Classic tees taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. It's time to highlight your best attributes with a t-shirt that you can always confidently throw on. Like most of you guys, ever since college, I've always struggled to find proper fitting t-shirts that are comfortable. Well, True Classic, from the moment moment I put on the shirt they sent me, solves it. And True Classic doesn't just stop at tees. From polos and workout shirts with the same flattering fit. Upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic. Get 25% off at trueclassic.com with the promo code CAMPEA. Free shipping included on purchases over $100. 100% risk-free guarantee with a 30-day refund policy. Stay classy with True Classic. Your dad bod will thank you. And thank you to our friends at True Classic for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show and giving me a couple of my favorite shirts now. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. Amy, what is our third main topic today?
This one comes from Darren McKay. So, John, I know you're going to see Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power tonight in a movie theater, which I think is awesome. So I was hoping that you won't make us wait till the after show on Friday to tell us what you thought of it. No spoilers, obviously, but can you give us just your general impression? Did you have a good time? Did it live up to the hype for you? Thanks.
Were there any clowns?
Was it clown work? Thanks for saying that in, Darren. Yeah, so last night, I've been really excited about last night because Ann and I got to go to a movie theater to go and watch the first 2 episodes of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, which of course debut tonight because it's game day.
Game day.
Tonight on Amazon at 6 p.m. Los Angeles time, whatever time that is where you are around the world, because I think they're dropping at the same exact time. So 6 p.m. here, 9 p.m. East Coast, and then whatever time zone that is for you where you live. They're dropping the first 2 episodes tonight. It has been my most anticipated television show, maybe the last 5 years. I've been excited about this. I've been stoked about it. Went out to go see it last night. Went to a Cinemark theater, by the way, the one right beside Angel Stadium. So it was a pain in the ass to get there because there was a game going on last night, I think. So the traffic right around it was bad. But so really enjoyed it. I like that Cinemark theater. It was being shown in the Cinemark XD theater, which was just like a AMC A-list theater, except it didn't have Dolby Atmos sound. But their recliner chairs also had these swing out arm trays. That was like game changing. Love those.
Oh my God, John. Get on with it. I want to hear your review.
Wait, did you get the terrible Danny Trejo ad?
No.
Okay.
There were no ads at all. No trailers, no nothing. 7 p.m. Showtime's at 7 p.m. Boom, 7 p.m.
You were in heaven.
The music started and right into it we went. All right, so here are my thoughts. I had heard, even from people who really loved the first couple things. And by the way, interesting side note, right now, House of the Dragon and Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power have the exact same score on Rotten Tomatoes at the moment. So I had heard from people, even people who really liked it, that, hey, it starts off a bit slow. I was not prepared for how slow. And let me give this disclaimer here quickly. There is a difference between slow burn and slow. They're 2 different things. All right. You look at something like Severance, there's no action scenes or anything going on, but something is always happening. And then once the message of a certain scene is conveyed, they move on to the next scene. And then once the message of that, they don't meander there. They don't linger there. The first episode of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power was not a slow burn. It was slow. And it was so slow to me. And there was a great action sequence in it and everything like that. But this is how slow it was. And I admit, I am more sensitive to a show being not slow burn, but slow than most people are. But when the first episode ended, there was like a 3 to 4 minute break in between the 2 episodes in the theater, right? I seriously thought about just leaving.
Oh my God.
I honestly thought about just leaving. Now, there was nothing in the first episode that thought, well, that's stupid. No. Don't get me wrong. There was none of that. It was all perfectly fine. But it was a slog. For me personally, it was a slog to get through the first episode. And what was probably an hour-long episode felt like 3 to me. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm not going into any spoilers. We're going to have our open spoiler after show discussion on this tomorrow afternoon after all the rest of you guys have a chance to see it. So I'm not going to go into spoilers. I'm not going to go into any details. I'm just saying that for me, I was ready to dive. Now, I did my out of the theater reaction, and I mentioned just quickly, and it's like, yeah, man, I mean, if they didn't show us the second one right away, I might have tapped out after the first episode. And there's people saying, but John, you've been saying it's been your most anticipated thing. You'd be willing to tap out of it after one episode? And I'm like, listen, I don't owe it to any show to give it 3 or 4 or 5 of my hours.
That's right.
It is the show's responsibility to hook me. And it doesn't matter how excited I am for something or how not excited I am for something. How many times do I tell you guys, when you go to see a movie or a TV show, when you go to see a movie, take whatever expectations you had, high or low, and leave them at the door. So yeah, it's my most anticipated show of the last 5 years, but that stops the moment I walk in the theaters. Now it's up to the show or the movie to earn it. And it either does or does not. And I would tell people, listen, if I've been excited for 3 years to go to this new Gordon Ramsay restaurant, and then I get there and I take the first bite of steak and I almost want to spit it out, I'm not eating the rest of it. I don't care how excited I've been for it all this time. If I take that first bite and it makes me want to spit it out, I'm not just going to, well, in principle, I'm going to finish the rest. I don't do that. You may do that, and that's totally cool if you do, but I don't. Fortunately, there was a second episode. And I will say this right now. It was the smartest decision in the world by Amazon to release 2 episodes at once, at least to start with, because the second episode is a totally different story. The second episode, you get the payoff. Listen, you talk. Some people would be writing to me today and say, but John, you need some time to lay the groundwork. Look at episode 1 of House of the Dragon. They were laying groundwork. It was slow burn, but every single scene had direct focus purpose. And then once that purpose was met, they didn't just drag on the scene for another 5 minutes. They then moved on to the next scene. That was a show that laid groundwork, introduced the world, did some world building. We got to know the characters, all that kind of stuff, but they made it with its own cadence, its pace, and it was engaging. The first episode of The Lord of the Rings of Power is not, in my opinion only. The second episode, though, thankfully was a different story. Because once you get into the second episode, it's like, okay, where they dropped the ball in the first, they picked it back up. Suddenly now, all the scenes seem to have more cadence to them. All the scenes seem to have more pace. The moments, and they decided to convey their message in much more thrilling, engaging ways that they just failed to do in the first episode. This one image right here is a great example of that. Without giving any details away, in the first episode, there's a scene that is involving this, what you see on screen. And it's dull. An almost identical scene happens in the second episode, but they do it's just in such a way that is far more engaging and far better. And so by the end of the second episode, I'm like, I'm ready for episode 3. I'm ready to go here. Yeah, Ray.
Being that these episodes are 1 hour long, we have a lot of viewers that probably don't have a lot of time after work. Would you say the first episode is important to the second one? Or can we start on the second one and get it?
That's
just saying.
I like that question.
That is a great question. Here's what I would say. I would say absolutely watch the first episode for 2 reasons. One, there are some things that happen in that first episode that you're going to need to have in your tool belt in order to kind of get the second episode. But the second thing is this, and I always emphasize this with people. Just because episode 1 did not work for me does not mean it's not going to work for you. Like, you may watch, I'm sure there's some people, some of my fellow theater goers who saw this last night and thinking, John, you're crazy. That first episode was awesome. And if you feel that way, that's great. I celebrate that. I'm just telling you, it wasn't for me. So I would absolutely say don't skip the first episode. Number 1, because there are some important things in there. But number 2, you may end up loving the first episode. So give it that.
Also, like you said, it wasn't like it was stupid or bad acting. It just was a slow pacing.
Yeah, it's not like 15 stupid things happen. No. It was nothing like that. It was just like, oh my God, get on with it. Just get on with it.
Oh.
Again, you look at Severance. Severance is a great example. That is quiet, slow burn, but that story is always moving. And I just didn't feel that in episode 1. But again, thank God they played the first 2 episodes together, because that second episode was night and day difference from the first one for me. I was now suddenly far more interested in the characters. I was now far more engaged in the action that was going on screen. I now cared about what this is building up to. The mystery of some of the things started to become relevant to me. And therefore, by the end of the second episode, when the screen goes black, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait for next week. And so Yeah, it's a tale of two episodes for me. It was a tale of two episodes for me. So yeah, I'm really excited about the next episode. But oh my God, if they hadn't played two episodes together, I may have tapped out after the first episode.
I'm just curious where like the how beloved just like Lord of the Rings is for so many people versus like how short our attention spans culturally are right now and how much people do just have that like there's 800 things that people are telling me I should watch right now. Like how many people will power
Well, that's
through
like my Netflix queue.
The 800 Netflix.
Yep.
No, honestly, Anne, when we came out of the movie, when we came out watching the two episodes, I asked her, so what did you think? She said, well, I definitely liked the second episode more. I'm like, me too. And then she goes, but I have no idea what just happened. I have no idea what was going on. And
Not a great
and-
review.
And so I am very curious to people who really don't know much about the lore of that. Like, listen, when the Cimmerals get mentioned, like you could feel the buzz with certain people in the audience. Once the Cimmerals get mentioned, like and brought up and they talk about them for a minute, there are people in the audience you could tell, and you could tell there's a whole bunch of people in the audience who had the what now? The who's it's? The what? Are these like the Infinity Stones for Thanos? And I'm like, you're not actually very far off on that. As a matter of fact, now that you mention it, but
That's the me's in the audience leaning over to my boyfriend going, what is that?
but I will something I said in my out of the theater review was this. Once you get into one of the things that happens in the second episode was pure delight. It was Elrond and Durin. When Elrond and Durin get together, it's like business picks up. To quote JR, business picks up. It becomes absolutely delightful. And I will say this too. While a lot of people have made a lot of stuff about how that this takes a lot of liberties with the Tolkien original stuff, I would say that's fair. It's also very true in many ways. It's also very true to the spirit of the Tolkien text in many ways. There are clearly some differences, but I will tell you this. The way the dialogue is spoken and all that kind of stuff, it feels very Tolkien. It feels very, very Tolkien. So anyway, any other questions?
I just got to say, like with House of the Dragon,
Yeah.
the first 15 minutes, if I had an option of walking out your theater room, I would have.
The first
You actually, if you were actually, look at me, I actually turned on my slot machine app on my phone.
Yes, you did.
It was that, because
annoyed your sister.
I'm coming from someone who hasn't watched Game of Thrones. But there was a certain moment in that episode where I just put down my phone and I was like, okay. And I think it had something to do with Damon, my favorite character on the show right now. And so like with this one, an hour first episode, I'm hoping there's something there that I find.
I have a feeling you're going to like the first episode a lot more than I did.
Oh, okay.
I have a feeling you will. Anne mentioned the same thing to me. She goes, I bet Ray really likes the first episode. I said, I can kind of see that. I can see that. But I'm going to be dying to talk to you,
Yes.
Chris,
So excited about
tomorrow on the after show, because like you are like the hardcore Tolkien fan.
The way
Chris was
my
gonna be like,
face
"They need
dropped
to slow
when
that
it was,
pace
did you
down."
watch my out of the theater review? And I was like, no. And John just goes, no. But I mean, again, though, like we've talked about this so much. They could do anything with this basically, and I'd be like, let's just talk about grass for the first episode. It'll be fine. Yeah. Let's just talk
by
about
the
the
way,
different
the
meals.
Harfoots, adorable.
Of course they are.
Yeah, the Harfoots. I didn't know how I'd feel about the Harfoots. The Harfoots are adorable. But when you meet the dwarves, yeah, it gets pretty cool.
Do they do a good job with the whole Harfoot versus Hobbit thing? Because I know that's a point of contention for some people. We're like, there's not hobbits yet. No, they're not, but they're this.
Yeah,
so calm down.
It's when you meet the Harfoots, it ain't Hobbiton.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect,
There are
perfect.
clearly distinctions.
Okay.
There are clearly distinctions.
One last question.
Yeah.
Can you just talk briefly about the scope? Does it seem
Big.
like the world is big?
Big.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's always something I enjoy.
Right from the beginning of the show. Right from the beginning, they kind of, this world is huge. Okay, and they do, that's one of the cool things that they do at the beginning. Like the way that Peter Jackson's first Lord of the Rings film begins, it begins with narration, kind of giving you a little bit of a background of the world, being narrated just like it did in the Peter Jackson film by Galadriel. So there's a lot to feel familiar about. Again, I'm just going to be really interested to see how people feel about the dichotomy that I felt between episode 1 and 2. 2 was great, I thought. 1, not so much. But anyway, guys, question is for you. How are you feeling about it? It is on tonight. And a lot of you guys went to go see it in the theaters last night. How did you feel about it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 4. Amy, what is our 4th main topic today?
This topic comes to us from Captain Spike. Hey, John and crew. So I watched the recent episode of She-Hulk and thought it was a fun watch compared to last week's. That end credit scene caught me off guard. Some people say negative things about the episode and the show in general, but I personally enjoy it. What are some of your non-spoilery thoughts? Was it better than last week's episode? Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right, Captain Spike, thanks a lot for that. And a little bit later today, at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that's 6 p.m. New York time, we will be having our She-Hulk after show here on the channel. Make sure you guys come on back and join us for that. We got a lot to talk about on there, so we'll go into full open spoilery details on that. But for now, let's just give it the general thoughts. You remember last week, I said my general sense was dissatisfaction.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of fun stuff in the episode last week, but it just felt so, curtailed that I felt like I just hit play and then it ended and it left me with a sense of dissatisfaction. And that's not necessarily a byproduct of the length, because you can watch a half-hour sitcom on TV, which is 22 minutes, and it can feel very satisfying, whatever. And I said, while I'm liking a lot of stuff in She-Hulk, absolutely, after that second episode, I felt a little bit dissatisfied. I'm going to tell you this. Episode 3 of She-Hulk is the She-Hulk I have been waiting for. This episode is what I have wanted this show to be. I finally feel now in episode 3, it has come into what I always kind of envisioned the show could be. That Ally McBeal, like comedy, you kind of a feel that's really kind of on the periphery of the MCU, kind of in that kind of world. And to me, this was finally the episode. I liked episode 1. I liked episode 2, even though I felt very dissatisfied by it. This is the episode, though, to me, that now She-Hulk, this is the show I've been waiting for. To me, it was easily the best episode of the series. And it's obviously, I'm going to say that because I just said, it's the show I've been wanting it to be. So obviously, this is the one that I like the most. But everywhere between the pacing, there's a part in it. I mean, you saw from the preview they released yesterday that this is the one that Wong's in. And the one detail I'll give is at one point, Jennifer looks at the camera. I know you're all really excited for Wong to show up. I mean, it's like, oh my God. They, of course, get into the Abomination stuff that they introduced last week. I just thought, again, the style of show we've been saying, I've been looking for the show to be. This is when it did it. And not just the best post-credit scene of the series so far. I would say that was a top 5 MCU post-credit scene ever.
That's a good one.
I was choking. I was laughing so hard. And part of the reason I was choking, and we will go into details later, I will just say, somebody brought up a theory of something that could happen in the episode. I said, no, that won't happen. And that thing happened.
You fool.
And I nearly lost it. And for the first time in this series, they introduce a mystery. This is the first time they've really done it here. They've introduced a mystery as like, okay. So for that reason and many, many more, I really, really enjoyed this episode. Favorite one of the bunch so far. Chris, you had a chance to watch it. Just in general, we'll talk more in detail later, but what was your sense of it?
I love this one. When Rob and I were doing our pre-show yesterday, our pre-Hulk, if you will, we were talking about how we want this show to be weird.
Yeah.
We want it to get weird and have some Boston Legal vibes, some dancing babies from Ally McBeal vibes.
Right.
I just wanted to get weirder, and it finally did. The meta moments are so great, and there's something in it, too, that if you've ever written like a sitcom format script is something that you've probably said out loud as you've written it yourself. There's great comic book moments in this, and we finally have a through line, too, that mystery you were talking about.
Yes.
Ooh, okay, we're setting up something really interesting here. And Megan Thee Stallion is wonderful in this episode. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Oh, we talked about that they confirmed the Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah.
This was the episode that she popped up in. Anyway, Amy, you had a chance to see it. What did you, well, we haven't had a chance to talk
Yeah.
about She-Hulk series at all. What's been kind of your vibe on the series so far, and how does the third episode fit into that for you?
It's been a like not love that I've wanted to love, and this one definitely started inching more into love territory for me. I still think there's bits of the humor, bits of the writing that don't always land for me, but I think they're really starting to find less than like the real written jokes. There's sort of just a through line in the performances of kind of offbeat, quirky fun. Like just even like a little moment where like she just like runs over and adjusts something. It just made me smile. Like it just really had me like kind of chuckling and smiling the whole way through. And I think similarly to you in the way where it's sort of, yeah, this is the show I've been wanting this to be. So overall, I would say probably the strongest of the 3 episodes for me. And I hope it keeps continuing down this path because I really do. I want to love this show. I feel like there's so many good elements here.
Yeah. Again, I've been like you up until this point. It's okay, liking it. I have not been able to cross that threshold in love. Again, that sense of dissatisfaction I had last time. But this was I not only the best episode so far, but the most promising episode so far about what it can be and where it can go, especially with that post-credit scene. Anyway, guys, make sure once again, later today at 3 p.m., we will be doing our She-Hulk after show, our open spoiler discussion on it. Make sure you guys come back and join us for that. But in the meantime, guys, what did you think about the episode? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, with that down, let's move into main topic number 5. Amy, what is our 5th main topic today?
This comes from Xerxes005. Hey, John and team. I was wondering if you saw the report from The Hollywood Reporter that Miguel Sapochnik was stepping down as showrunner on House of the Dragon, and also that Alan Taylor is coming on in season 2 to serve as an executive producer. How do you guys think this will affect the series moving forward? Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yesterday, news dropped. Showrunner of House of the Dragon, which to me has just come exploding out of the gate with its first 2 wonderful episodes. That has hooked me and got me so excited. Like the episode ends and I start an internal clock in my head counting down to Sunday for that next episode. What's Damon gonna do next? Like what kind of weird mischief is he gonna get
That little
into?
scamp.
That little scamp, that clown prince of crime in Westeros. What's he gonna do now? Then all of a sudden after 2 episodes, hearing that showrunner, the co-showrunner, is leaving. One of the veterans of the original series as well is leaving. That's startling. This comes to us from the folks over at the Hollywood Reporter who wrote the following. There's been a big shakeup inside the House of the Dragon. The HBO fantasy drama co-showrunner and director Miguel Sapochnik is stepping down from the freshly launched hit series. Sources say that Sapochnik is exiting the show after pouring an exhausting 3 years of effort into the Game of Thrones prequel. Dragon co-creator Ryan Condal will now serve as the show's sole showrunner. He was the other co-showrunner, and continue to work closely with co-creator George R.R. Martin. Sapochnik has also entered into a first look deal with HBO to develop new projects and will remain an executive producer for the duration of the series. The production has also hired acclaimed Thrones veteran Alan Taylor to serve as an executive producer and to direct multiple episodes in season 2. Okay, so they took one steady hand veteran of the franchise. He moves out. Another steady hand veteran of the franchise moves in, and the co-showrunner is also staying there. So it's not like the boat has totally been tipped over here. I'll tell you what, my minor panic when I first heard that after just 2 episodes, this guy was leaving, that Miguel was leaving, got settled a lot when something that I should have already had in my head came up in the article. This guy's been working on this project for 3 years. For 3 years. Like in the mud, and a year of that is just all the behind the scenes wrangling and working and reworking the story, dealing with the studios and dealing with the executives and getting deals made and blah, blah, and struggling and wrestling with your writer's room and getting all this kind of stuff. And then you finally start shooting it. Then you're going through all the post-production, finally getting it to screen. It's been 3 years. And when you're creative like he is, once you've poured 100% of yourself into something for 3 years, you might be ready to move on. And I wouldn't doubt it at all if, like, they're only announcing this now. I wouldn't doubt at all if it was understood that he had probably come to this decision probably 6 months ago.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. So again, a couple of things keep it from entering into panic territory. Number one, his co-showrunner is still there. Number two, they're bringing on more veteran help. This is clearly, he's going to stay on as an executive producer, probably won't be heavily involved, but still. So I am loving this show. And while I admit I kind of panicked at first when I read the headline, I actually feel pretty good about it right now. Amy, you know, this is a show you have not had a chance to start watching yet because you've had some life stuff going on that we won't talk about here on the show. But you've had some life stuff. Good, all good. Good stuff. Yeah, sorry, I just realized.
Not since the diagnosis.
Not since the incident. You know, since charges were filed,
Right.
you've been busy.
Allegedly.
What do you think about the news and how panicked or not panicked should people be about this?
You know, I agree. It really does just feel like there's a game plan in place here. That really is my takeaway of like, it initially felt like what? But there's a game plan in place here. You know, presumably the first season is wrapped and done and you know, it's not like he's pulling out in the middle of production of the first season.
Right, no, yeah, this is long done.
And clearly there is a game plan of where he's moving to within the system, who's stepping in to sort of fill in his place. So I absolutely agree that this isn't really a huge cause for concern. This is probably him going, I spent a ton of time on this. You know, I know they've said like he's moving into other projects. He's probably seeing this as a big springboard for his career. I think for him, it's a great move, and it seems like the show's not too rattled by it.
You know what I would compare this to? Imagine they were saying they were doing another Avengers movie, and the Russo brothers were coming in to do it. But then we find out that Joe Russo had to step away. But Anthony Russo was still doing it, and James Gunn was coming in to work with him on it.
And Anthony Russo got a separate deal with Disney.
Yeah, got a separate deal with Disney, so there's nothing bad going on. I think everybody would be, okay, that's fine. Anyway, Chris, you've been watching the show. You've been enjoying this show.
Loving the show.
What was your first reaction to seeing it, and how do you feel after reading like kind of the explanation?
There was the little moment first, right? But because he's staying on as an executive producer, we know there's no bad blood here. This has been a years-long project in the making. So from a creative standpoint, from an creative endeavor, obviously you want to go do something else after a while. You want to stretch those wings, baby. This is kind of like when you're watching Doctor Who and we go from Russell T Davies to Stephen Moffat, right? The show tonality might change, but I'm willing to give it a shot and see what other kind of stories we can tell within here, especially since we're dealing with such large time jumps and things. I also love that HBO really went on to say that Miguel was so integral in shaping this world, establishing its look, establishing this first season's tonality, and helping with just the building of Westeros at this point.
Right.
And I think having him still there, the other showrunners still around, and adding in people who are so familiar with this IP, we're just going to have some really cool stuff to look forward to. Season 2 is going to be very different. We're going to be telling a very different story. This is all Westeros history. So we've got a lot of different things to work with here. So I think it'll be fun to have some fresh blood in there.
All right, guys. Oh, Ray.
Yeah, I just want to point out, you watched the extras afterwards, right? After the episode.
Yeah.
One of the telling things when I watch it is, if you look at the guys speaking, they look tired. Like, if you look at their faces, they look tired.
They kind of do.
Let the man have a break. I'm pretty sure he has his baby, like, where he wants it. He's just going to let it, let other people take care of it. He wants to do other things.
Yep, it could be as simple as that. Question is for you guys. What have you been thinking about House of the Dragon so far? I've been loving it. Maybe you've loved it too. Maybe you haven't. I don't know. Do you think this is going to really rock the boat, or do you think not? It looks like they're keeping things pretty steady. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. We are now going to move into the part of the show where we're going to hear from you and address your thoughts, opinions, comments, questions, critiques, whatever. So we are opening up the super chats right now, and you guys can fire those in. Remember, try to limit the multi-part questions if you can. Saying those because those make it a little bit tough. But send on in your thoughts, and we will address those in the next part of the show. But before we get to those, we want to take a second and thank one of the main sponsors of our show here today, Ryan Reynolds and his company, Mint Mobile. We want to take a second and thank the sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, What's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of the retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. And guys, I have been using Mint Mobile for months now, and I could not be more thrilled with the service. I also couldn't be more thrilled with the fact that my phone bill now is literally 1/3 of what it used to be with my previous major carrier. All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show and for being my mobile provider. Thank you so much, guys. All right. With that down, let's move now into what you guys have to say. And we're going to start with our beloved channel members. So, Ray, what do we got in there?
We got one from Kylo Ken. He says, so glad they finally embraced the more comedic side of the She-Hulk series.
Agreed.
This episode is what I've been waiting for. I hope it continues down this path for the rest of the series.
This was the first time that there were glimpses of it in the first 2 episodes. This was the first episode that, like, from start to finish, is like, yes, this is what I envisioned in my head when they announced it at D23 a few years ago. And I'm excited to see where they go next. All right, what's next?
All right. Joey Blue Jay writes, what did you think about going to a Cinemark theater for the first time yesterday? It's my theater of choice.
Yeah, AMC theaters are my theater of choice, even though I have some serious issues with the CEO of that company. But still, AMC theaters are my theater of choice. I liked it. I had a good time. I was in their Cinemark XD theater, which was a really nice experience. So yeah, it was my first time ever being there. I'll be back. I mean, again, AMC theaters, the AMC Prime theater is still my choice, but I had a really good time there and I will be back. All right, what's next?
All right. Calvin Severo Pano says, hey, John, didn't the Patreon ended? I was charged today. Anyway, love the show. All the best.
We announced to the Patreons that we had ended the Patreon thing. If you have not, I mean, make sure you've gone and leave the Patreon thing. But like we left the Patreon itself turned on for people who still wanted to be on there. We announced that a couple of months ago. But just go and cancel it. But it's going to be shut down there pretty quick.
All right. Marl Jehovah gifted 5 John Campea memberships. I just wanted to point that out.
Oh, thank you, man. That's great. Thank you so much for that.
Okay. Itzante writes, John, I would love for you and Ann to do She-Hulk reactions together.
Yeah, but you got to understand, like Ann, I don't know if we said this publicly, like Ann is the vice president of her company now. Anne's vice president of a pretty big company, and she has a very big full-time job, and She-Hulk comes on at midnight, and she has lately not been able to stay up to watch it with me. So unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen. All right, what's next?
Okay, Slarf writes, I saw Bodies yesterday, and gotta say, I enjoyed it. I feel like this movie was promoted wrong. I feel it's definitely more of a whodunit and not a slasher. Movie had me laughing.
I mean, the only person in this room where I think has seen Bodies is sitting beside Jonathan. It's Taylor. Now, if I remember correctly, Taylor, you were not enamored with this movie, right?
No, that movie was so cringy to watch. If you're looking for good horror in theaters right now, Orphan First Kill is great, and Barbarian's coming out in a few days.
Yeah, tickets are on sale now for Barbarians. I haven't seen it yet. This
is for the next question. It says, from Never Lose Your Nerd. Hey guys, a question for Ray. Do you ever not wear a hat? Might be weird, but as a person that can't stand wearing jewelry or hats, I just wanted to know.
Ray, I hate to embarrass you. It is upside down.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the hat on upside down.
There we go. Now it looks
I
cool.
don't think that embarrassed him.
Amy, that's the style.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was practicing for Bel-Airing it.
Okay, boomer.
I'm not with it.
Oh, actually, we just got one more that came in right now. It
Okay,
says,
what's that?
Lynn writes, hi, Campea crew. So excited for Rings of Power. Let's do this.
Yeah, again, if you're watching it tonight and you feel like I did watching the first episode and you're like, hang in there. Again, to me, the second episode, business picks up and it gets really, really good. But yeah, that first episode was not for me. First episode was not for me. All right. Thank you to our channel members for sending that in. So let's now move over to our super chat. So Amy, what do we got?
We got
Marcus?
Yep.
Marcus sends in some support. Thank you,
Fire.
Marcus.
Sorry, it's been a minute. Darth Grant said, do you really believe Kevin is going to leave Marvel? He's not just a film exec anymore, but the CCO of Marvel as a whole. Do we have a second part to that?
Is that it?
Who knows?
No, never mind.
Yeah,
You can-
it's too far.
Yeah.
what's
You
that?
can answer that first
Yeah,
part.
yeah, I
Do you
really do.
believe it?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, seriously, if you're Kevin Feige, what else is there for you to do? You've done it all. You've made umpteen billion-dollar films. Your film franchise is the highest grossing franchise of all time. You've had films nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Your films have won some Academy Awards. I mean, what else is there to do? Honestly, in the words of Harvey Dent, you either die the hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And listen, you don't think Kevin Feige looks at everything and sees, hey, yeah, everybody thought the Game of Thrones is the greatest show in the world forever. And then all of a sudden everybody vilified D&D. And it's like they totally forgot that they gave them the most iconic television show in history and totally made them out to be villains and assholes and whatever. It's like, you think Kevin Feige is looking at this and not thinking about that? You don't think Kevin Feige's thinking about that? I think he is. And I think when you're somebody like him who is so powerfully creative, I think you're looking for the next challenge. What is the next mountain to climb? I've done everything you can do with Marvel. It's not going to get bigger than this. Marvel is not going to get bigger. It has peaked, not as far as, don't misquote me on this. When I say it's peaked, I'm saying that we have hit the height of what it can be. It's not going to, he's not going to put out a movie that's going to make $3 billion. There's no further to go. It's time for him to go on and take on a new project. And yeah, I think that's going to happen after Secret Wars. I really do. Again, no insider information, but I really do think that's going to happen. All right, what's next?
Al Rensha says, in the new AMC commercial, I need The Rock to appear and cut her off and say, it doesn't matter what you think. I passionately hate the original one.
I think Heartbreak, it doesn't matter what you think. Get your pansy ass suit pants out of here. Yeah, I could totally see The Rock doing that. Then I might watch it every single time.
You know, I did just realize, I think my actual concern, I worry they're going to they know it's a meme now, so I do actually worry they're going to go tongue in cheek and it's going to be a little like cringy because the earnestness is what makes the original one so good. Mm-hmm. So I do actually worry about a sequel that they're going to lose just that absolute like complete and total committed earnestness of it.
Even just a little change. Heartbreak feels good in an empty place like this. I would be all for it. I'd be all for it. Go cringy. Go cringy. All right, what's next?
Duane Williams said, screw
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Thank you. Everything Everywhere All at Once, or House of the Dragon, or the Ring of Power. She-Hulk episode 3 is the best thing put on a screen this year. Now, if you'll excuse me, I got a date with Taylor Swift to get to.
Okay, yeah, you'd have to have seen the episode to get the joke, but that's actually a very well put joke. I'm like, listen, again, no, I still think Rings of Power episode 2, I think the House of the Dragon episodes, I mean, it's all superior. But again, this She-Hulk episode is the one that makes me feel like we're in the right direction. All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher said, do you have a P.O. box, John? Because I want to send you a shirt that I think would 100% hate wear. It's a Heartbreak Feels Good t-shirt.
I probably already have it. My wife months ago bought me this shirt. It's Nicole Kidman sitting in the theater with somehow Heartbreak Feels Good in a place like this. So I probably already have it. But thank you for the good thought anyway. All right, what's next?
BJ said, does True Classic sell those shirts with the tug handle under the brand TC Tuggers?
I have no idea what.
I know TC Tuggers is an I think you should leave bit, isn't it?
I have no idea.
Oh.
I don't know what we're talking about, but I do know that True Classic makes some great
What
shirts.
do you know?
So check
There's
them out.
there's an I think you should leave sketch with TC Tuggers with a little handle so you can adjust your
I've
shirt.
never seen an episode.
It's
of that,
real
so
good.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So instead of pulling your shirt, you pull the handle
Yeah.
of your shirt.
Oh my god! All right, what's next?
Andy says, want to know how AMC theaters could further annoy their customers? Play the old new Nicole Kidman ad in their app and sites right before buying a ticket.
You know what they'll probably do? They'll probably make the new commercial and then play both of them back to back
I hope.
every time. I hope
Double
one can
feature,
only
baby.
dream.
I want to binge them.
All right, what's next?
They're gonna put an intermission in all the movies.
They should put intermissions in their
And
movies.
just run that.
You know what? But can I let me side rant for this for a second.
Okay.
One of the cool things
I'll
about
bring up
that
the
Lord of the
Campea
Rings
classroom.
thing was, well, with the Rings of Power, was because there was a short break in between. Everybody got up, ran, refilled their drinks, went to the bathroom, came back in, boom. Nothing missed a beat.
Oh, I'd love a little pee break.
I thought it was great. Now, Grant, I don't
know why I said it like that either.
You know what? You little girl. You just turned 12.
I have to take a
honestly
tinkle.
think
Excuse me.
that not for every movie, not for hour and 45 minutes, but for a movie that say you set a threshold, like any movie that's over 2 hours and 20 minutes, that it's up, there's a 5-minute intermission. It means less people distracting you, like getting in and out of theaters, all that kind. I think it's a great idea.
Only if they have Nicole Kidman come on the screen and go, somehow a little pee break feels good in a place like this.
Does every theater have an ad like that? Because I went to the Regal to watch the Top Gun Maverick with 40X. They had a same thing with like machete
Yeah.
in there.
Dang.
And I was like, this is more horrible than
It's
Yeah,
everyone doing
Nicole
the
Kid-
different movie.
It's
club.
pretty bad.
Did Cinemark
Yeah.
have anything like that?
Not when I was there, no.
Thank God.
But
That's
I mean,
where we're going from
but
now on.
To Amy's idea, like we just see her walking into a bathroom. We come to this place, and then she just goes on from there.
We had an
You just see
extra
her
Coke
shoes
soda.
under the stall and hear her voice.
She pulls out a little thing of poopery. Come to this place. All right, what's next?
Kara Black with the $20 super
Thank
chat.
you,
Thank
Kara.
you. Welcome back to the show, Amy. Thank you. I adore hearing your thoughts and opinions on here. I always love to support my fellow females. You have supplanted John as my favorite person on the show. Let's go, Amy.
All right, so we're
Thank
blocking
you so
Kara.
much.
Okay, yeah. So
Block her
I'm
right now.
deleting.
Supporting females
Kara,
and
can you
John's your
please
other
leave a
favorite.
message in the chat?
Interesting.
All of a sudden, Chris feels
Interesting.
very devalued. All right, what's next?
Andy said, "Hi, John. I feel you on the Angels traffic. I often go to an awesome sports bar nearby there, and whenever an Angels game ends, the traffic is hectic."
You know, it's a crazy little area because right beside Angel Stadium is the Honda Center, the hockey arena there, and just up the street is Disneyland, and 1,000 great restaurants. So yeah, it's a busy little area, part there of Orange / Anaheim / whatever. It's a great spot. All right, what's next?
Fabio Rodriguez said, "With Black Panther on the horizon, what are your bets for cameos during T'Challa's funeral? Is this where we'll see Old Man Cap again?"
Old Man Cap is actually higher on the list than you might think. And the reason being is because narratively it makes sense. Most cameos you'd mention would just be for the sake of it. Steve and T'Challa had a relationship. And I listen, I think it could be. But here's the one drawback. They're going to make the T'Challa funeral a very solemn feeling thing.
Yeah.
You can tell that from the trailer, and well, they should. Do they, as filmmakers, want to go? Because I have a feeling you're going to see a lot of tears in the theaters at that scene. Do you want to interrupt that scene with, "Oh look, it's Ant-Man. Oh look, there's Doctor Strange"? I mean, narratively, I think it makes sense for Old Man Steve to be there because, again, with his relationship with T'Challa. But do you want, as a storyteller, and you're crafting this scene, do you want to break the spirit of it with, "Look, everybody, look who's standing over there"? And
It's
that's
Nicole
the one thing
Kidman.
that makes me think they won't do any of that.
You know, sometimes they have the funerals where it's just the immediate family, and then like they open it up to the public.
Well, in the trailer, you see this.
Yeah, I think it needs to just be Wakanda. I mean, he spent just like a blip of his life with Steve Rogers. His whole life has been with his people. So it should just be with them.
If they were going to be there, I almost feel like you'd have to introduce them somehow before the funeral, so the funeral could really be the funeral.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, you don't want to like cut to Captain America in the middle of that scene because it would really cheapen the memorial to that actor.
Another character who totally narratively would make sense to be there is Bucky.
Yeah.
Because he lived there amongst them.
Yeah.
So, but I think you're bang on the money, Amy, when you say introduce him first. So before the funeral happens, you see Bucky approaching T'Challa's mother and talking to her first and blah. And then you see him in the crowd. So I don't know. They're going to have to be very, very careful. Very careful. All right, what's next?
SOMD Picker said highest level Goku versus Superman.
Superman always. Superman beats everything everywhere all the time,
Other
with
than
the rare
Doomsday.
exception of versus Batman. That's it. But other than that, it's Superman because he's Superman. That's it. All right, what's next?
Suthius said his words doesn't affect me. Do whatever you have to do or think to get the job done as a performer. That's all I ask as a viewer, fan, consumer.
Right. And again, I think what the person who wrote in the question was concerned about is by saying, I look at that as clown work, that implies you're not going to give it your best effort. Like, I'll give that one my best effort because that's real work. This is clown work. But again, I think it might just be that he didn't properly communicate what he was thinking.
And I think it's an interesting point of like, if we're watching this movie and going, wow, he did a great job. And he's like, yeah, it was me at 50%. Like, if we as the audience can't tell, does that matter?
Now, it was hard to tell in Aquaman.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't a lot there for him to do. But
Yeah.
I have a feeling he's going to have a bigger platform in Aquaman too.
Yeah.
And I hope we don't come out of the theater going, yeah, he clearly thought of that as a clown role. At least I hope
Why do
we
you keep putting that red nose on?
don't. Why does he keep doing that? All right, what's next?
Trevor said, in regards to the premieres of Rings of Power versus House of the Dragon, I would argue Ring of Power has a much bigger scope, closer to Game of Thrones than House of the Dragon, which I remember Game of Thrones starting slow as well.
Yeah, Game of Thrones started pretty slow as well. But again, I want to emphasize there is a massive distinction between slow burn and slow. And it's the semantics of that are very, very important, actually. But listen, it's a very big, broad scale thing. I just think you can do the things you need to do in a more cadenced and engaging way than other ways. And again, I'm just speaking for myself. For myself, the first one did it in the negative way. But, I hope a lot of you guys love it when you see it. I certainly hope you get through to episode 2 because I thought episode 2 was quite good. All right, what's next?
Jai CSC said, finally figured out why AMC theaters closed down in the UK. No Nicole Kidman telling us about Heartbreak. I do miss that AMC. It was always great value.
You know what? They used to have an AMC theater. They used to have some AMC theaters in Canada, including I think the biggest theater in Toronto it was called the Scotiabank Theater for a while, but before that it was an AMC theater. And at some point many years ago, I think even just after I started working with AMC, they had shut down all their Canadian ones. They still have AMC theaters in other countries. But I kind of missed it when they took those away.
It's weird hearing that, right? An AMC closing down, other than the pandemic period where some closed down. It's weird hearing of AMC shut down.
They decided to get out of a particular market.
Right.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Suthius said, did some MCU rewatching this year? I've now seen every one at least 5 times, and I
Nice.
gotta say, I enjoy them all. Some more than others, but there's only one that I truly love, and that's Endgame. 20 plus times now. Wow.
It's funny because to me, if you were to ask me what I think the most overrated MCU film is, I think it's Endgame. Now, people misunderstand the term overrated.
Right.
Overrated does not mean I think it's bad. Not at all. I just personally think the quality level of that movie is quite good. I enjoy it. I love Endgame. I love the movie, but I don't think it's a top 5 MCU film. I think it's definitely top half. I just don't see it as a top 5 MCU film, even though it has some of the premier moments of the MCU are in it. So absolutely, there's no denying some of the marquee MCU moments. When the portal scene is, I mean, come on, the portal scene is just everything. It's so great. And when that hammer flies by everybody and it just lands in Cap's hand, are you kidding me? It's great. But overall, I kind of think it's a little bit overrated. Chris, like, where would you put Endgame roughly in the MCU pantheon?
Oh man. It's so hard to say because so much of that was the experience of seeing it in a theater and having everyone in the theater just like yelling and cheering. So
yeah,
it
and
has
it being
that
the culmination film of everything.
Because we had one of the people in ours do the say it before the assemble. And it was so great. But I mean, I definitely think, honestly, Iron Man still stands to be like one of the best MCU films. And so I'm kind of always trying to top that one. So Endgame, it needs everything else to be as good as it is. But that doesn't detract from it.
It's perfect for what it is, but like me personally, it's probably one of the ones I would like least go back to for a rewatch because it does just feel like such a big, overwhelming, like you did it. You landed all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
We got Ben Rainier with the $20 super
thank you,
chat.
Ben.
Your best losers whine about their best and winners go home and F the prom queen. I just watched The Rock for the second time. First time was meh, but this time, this was awesome. I love this. What's your fave Bay movie?
I love The Rock.
It's hard to go anywhere but there. I mean, listen, I love Armageddon. I love the first Transformers movie. But I'm telling you, when Sean Connery, and by the way, no other human will ever be able to say a line like that again. I don't think any other actor ever could have said that line. But Sean Connery saying, "Your best." Losers whine about their best.
Go home and
Let's go home and fuck the prom queen. It's like, oh my God, Sean Connery saying it made it cool. Anybody else saying it, like if Rob said it, maybe a little bit creepy. But Sean Connery saying it, I mean,
it's motivational. I want to cross stitch it.
But that whole movie is a big ball of fun.
Yeah.
Like, I love The Rock.
He has such great one-liners in it. And Nicolas Cage playing this like just very neurotic kind of bumbling associate is so fun. Gosh, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Oh, all right. What's next?
Luis Enrique de la Peña said, I love House of the Dragon, Rings, Harley Quinn, and She-Hulk, but I'm thinking on waiting for the seasons to finish and binge watch them. Is it a good idea?
I don't think so. I mean, listen, there are, like, for instance, you take a series like Obi-Wan, and when that fan edit came out, and it's like, this is how this show should have been. He edited it all together, took out 45 minutes of stuff, moved some things around, added some audible cues, and it was just a much better one-sitting viewing experience. I love the series approach. Like, I love having an episode, a great episode that does leave you wanting more. And then you have a week to think about it, talk about it with your friends, all that kind of stuff, and give you something to look forward to next week. I really think that is the best way for a lot of the series. But yeah, every once in a while, there is a series that just lends itself better to just being watched all at once. But I think it's rarer than most other people think. I don't know, Chris, like, what do you think about that?
I think it really just depends on how you're vibing with the show. Like Servant is something that's released weekly, and I wait to binge that. Mostly because I got really, really sick. I probably had COVID at the beginning of the pandemic and was like, oh, this is a great show that I'm going to watch all in one sitting because this is so messed up and I have nothing else to do. And then when I tried to watch season 2 week by week, I didn't enjoy it as much and I just waited until everything came out. So it just depends, I think, on how you're enjoying the media. Consume as you want responsibly.
All right, what's next?
My Comic Planet said, am I the only one surprised that Amazon would pay $700 million for only fragments of Tolkien rights to make this show? The main rights of Lord of the Rings was purchased by another company, Risky Business for Amazon. Oh, another company, Risky Business for Amazon. I can read punctuation.
I love the idea of the company Risky
I
Business.
was like, that's a weird company.
By
Yeah,
the way,
what?
I don't think the number was 700 million. I don't think the flat basic rights, but still, they got the rights that they needed and that they wanted, and they weren't interested in paying whatever that the price tag was to get the rest. Look, it's all comes down to is, do they make a good show? That's all that matters. Nothing else matters. Everybody else can cry about what it needs. No. The only thing they need to do is make a good, entertaining show that the audience watches and enjoys. That's it. And if they can do that with this stuff and bring the IP name along with it, more power to them. Whether or not this ends up like with the $1 billion they ended up spending, whether or not that is a good investment, time will tell. Because if we get to the end of season 1, suddenly Amazon Prime is now spoken of in the same breath as Apple and HBO Max and Disney Plus and Netflix, and all as a home of great content, then yeah, it would have been for them, it would have been $1 billion well spent. If not, well, we're going to look back on that and say, maybe spending $1 billion on one show wasn't such a good idea. So time will tell. We'll see. I've watched 2 episodes now. I'm split on them. One I did not enjoy at all. One I really did. Fortunately, it was the second one that I really did. So, we'll see what happens. All right, what's next?
Wayne Joy said, in August, I saw in theaters North by Northwest,
Nice.
Strangers on a Train, E.T., The Birds, Dr. No, Shadow of a Doubt, and Vertigo. Today is Jaws.
Yeah, listen, first of all, I think more theaters need to be playing older classic movies more
So
often.
fun.
but it's easy for me to say that, but then the theater owners look at me and say, that's great that you say that, John, but people don't actually come to watch them. So maybe there's that. But especially right now when there's like nothing coming out in theaters, that's when theaters need to really take advantage of that. And then we as film fans need to take advantage of those opportunities, like putting Lord of the Rings in theaters, or Rings of Power, so people can see it. They need to take advantage of that, and then we need to take advantage of it. All right, what's next?
We got Dwan Williams. Did John ever get around to seeing I Am Groot?
I watched the first episode, was not for me, so I didn't watch the rest. Just that simple. All right, what's next?
Chris Miner said, watched Father of the Bride for the first time. It was the definition of charming. Martin Short steals the movie.
Anna and I were just talking about this the other day. I love Father of the Bride. And Martin Short, where's the cock? I need the cock. It's like,
Whoa.
it's so...
You could have gone with the chipper chicken, John.
It's so... You're talking about charming and heartwarming and moving. And here's the funny thing. How many years ago did Father of the Bride come out?
Ooh, was that late 80s or early 90s?
Early
I'm not
90s.
sure.
Safe
Early
to say
90s?
30 years?
Yeah.
Roughly 30 years? Okay, wrap your head around this. Steve Martin's
91.
daughter
Yeah, it was
in
91.
Father of the Bride was significantly older than Steve Martin's daughter in Only Murders in the Building. Just want to throw that out there. Like when they introduced her as his daughter, I'm like, that's his great granddaughter, no? But no, his daughter?
Well, ex-stepdaughter.
Well, stepdaughter.
Yeah.
He-
Stepdaughter.
Ex-stepdaughter,
Okay,
yeah.
But
who still
But I
views
remember
him
when,
as a father
when they
figure.
first introduce her, you know, you see her writing the thing and all that kind of stuff. You're like, daughter, 30 years ago, your daughter was older than her.
His real life daughter's younger than her. He's got, I believe,
Really?
a 7-year-old.
He's got a
I
7-year-old?
think he's got somebody under 10.
Really?
I think so.
I did not know
I
that.
can fact
I don't
check
know a
that.
lot about the personal lives of celebrities. That's
I
fun.
love Steve Martin.
You go, Steve.
Yeah.
Why not? All right, what's next?
We got Sam Fisher. John, listen to the Andy Serkis Lord of the Ring audios.
Yeah.
They're on Audible. He does 130 plus voices. His best are Gandalf, Gimli, and Bombadil, and of course, Smeagol.
Of course, and there is no Bombadil in the Peter Jackson movies.
But
there
a
was part
singer,
two.
Serkis is not. LOL.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of songs. And I've always thought I want to listen to Andy Serkis's. See, here's the problem. I used to listen to a lot of audio novels back when I was commuting. But like the last 5 years, I've been working from home. And now the studio's like a 6 or 7 minute drive from my house. So I don't really listen. I don't have time to just listen to a lot, but maybe I should start listening to it on the treadmill. I usually listen to podcasts and stuff like that. Maybe I should start listening to the Andy Serkis audio version of The Lord of the Rings. Okay, you know what? That's what I'm going to start doing. Thank you for giving me that little kick in the pants to do it. All right, what's next?
Andy says, damn, John, saying you love women but wanting them to make you a sandwich right now, you might want to lay off those Andrew Tate videos.
You clearly did not
There
listen
was a
to what
period,
I said.
much
My
like me.
point was that
Punctuation.
punctuation matters, because that is not what I was saying. But if you say it without the right cadence or the right punctuation, then it comes across as something completely different.
Let's
Listen to everything I was saying.
It's the difference between let's eat grandma and let's eat grandma.
Yes. Punctuation matters.
Saves
All right.
lives.
What's next?
Josh Becker said, when can we discuss Nope spoilers?
After it comes out on home video. Once it comes out on home video, then we can get into no spoilers. Good question, though. All right, what's next?
Jesse Rod said, hey, crew, recently rewatched Wonder Woman 2017, and I have to say, I think it's one of my top 3 DCEU films. Your thoughts on the superior Wonder Woman film? Keep on the filthy.
That seemed like a loaded question.
Why is
Your
that?
thoughts on the best one?
On the best one ever.
Because it is.
I mean, it is the best Wonder Woman film, because it's certainly better than 84.
I actually liked 84. I watched it
Really?
during the I didn't take the effort to go to the theaters and see it. I missed it. But I watched it during the pandemic, and I'm like, maybe because I saw it from my comfort of home for the first time, I'm like, I kind of like this vibe. It got a little silly, obviously, with all the wishes coming true and whatever, but I did kind of like the vibe.
We also actually the whole
I
family.
watched it
We
from
watched it
home,
on,
too.
I think, on Christmas.
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
I don't think
We
it
watched it at
released
home.
in theaters. Wasn't that just
No,
a...
I think they did do a. I think
Did
they
they?
did a limited thing of it in theaters.
No, I'm not wrong. It was my opinion.
No. I mean, I differ. I didn't enjoy it, but the first one. I mean, what Patty Jenkins did with that first movie, and Chris Pine was just so good in it. It's. I would say it's a top. Well, wait a minute. I used to say it was a top 3. because for some time it was Man of Steel and then Wonder Woman 84. But a couple of movies have come out since. You know what? It's not in my top 3 now. It's probably my number 4 DCU film. My number 1 is still Man of Steel. Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, I still think is the best movie they have in the DCU. Second and third, it depends. They switch depending on what day you ask me. But the 2 movies I have in the number 2 and the number 3 spot are James Gunn's Suicide Squad and the first Shazam film. I love both of those films for very different reasons, but I think those. And then I think you have Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah.
And then probably Aquaman.
I'd
But-
put Aquaman above 84.
Sorry, did I say, sorry, then Wonder Woman, not Wonder Woman 84.
Okay.
Sorry. Then Wonder Woman in the number 4 spot. You know, the other day I mentioned, I said as a side note that like I've liked every single DCU movie except for Harley Quinn. I forgot about 84. That is the second one I generally don't like, but all the other DCU films I enjoy. All right, what's next?
Oh, I found the part 2 here.
Oh, great.
Oh, Darth Grant. And it's only been 3 to 4 years that he's been in this role. Does he really self-demote himself just to a film exec again?
Oh, we're talking about the Kevin Feige
Feige,
thing,
yeah.
right? Listen, if Kevin Feige goes somewhere, listen, he is the head of a subsidiary of a smaller company. He is not the CCO, the chief creative officer of Disney. He is the chief creative officer of Marvel, which is its own little division. Little division.
What a cute little thing you guys are doing over
Yeah,
there.
that's adorable, this MCU. No. Make no mistake. When Kevin Feige leaves, he's going to have a lot of opportunities for corner offices. He ain't leaving just to become a de facto producer somewhere. When he leaves, he is leaving to become a major executive, not of an individual little part of a larger company, but a big part of the bigger company, whether it's like a chief creative officer of Paramount or of Warner Brothers or whatever. It's not going to be a small thing.
Of OnlyFans.
Or OnlyFans. Kevin Feige. OnlyFans. Behold the foot of Feige. OnlyFans. $55 a month. You can see Chris, what'd you say? Stepping on food?
Oh, yeah, that was going to be my tier.
Yeah, that's it.
We start with no socks, no shoes, and then step on your food.
Step on your food.
Step on your food.
She likes it. She likes the idea.
Nicole likes
Proud of
it.
me.
Yeah.
She was like, look at this entrepreneur.
Yeah.
She gets a pantsuit soon, too.
Yeah, so make no mistake, you won't be leaving Marvel to take some small job somewhere. It'll be a very, very big executive suite corner office kind of gig somewhere. All right, what's next?
My 5-head said, I hope the slowness of Ring of Power is similar in feel to the early Black Sails episodes, because that starts slow, but it's my favorite show of all time.
I have never seen Black Sails.
Man, I
so-
started that. It was so good. I haven't finished it,
Was
though.
it good? Is that a
Yeah.
good one?
Yeah, it's really
But you never
good.
finished it?
Yeah, I will, but I haven't.
Yeah, I remember they promoted the hell out of it at a Comic-Con a bunch of years ago, but I never did. But again, I'd be curious to know slow burn or slow. Like, so it all depends on how you define it, I suppose. All right, but thanks for recommending it. What's next?
Mr. Holdbrook said, I was wondering if you had a chance to watch the Mike Tyson show on Hulu.
I have not, and I won't. Not out of any principle. I'm just not interested. I got too much else to watch. Nothing about it looked appealing to me. So it's not like I refuse to watch anything about Mike Tyson. No. It's just, it doesn't look like it interests me. So I'm probably gonna take a pass on it. Have either of you guys watched anything on it?
No, the trailer, I mean, he's doing a very convincing job.
Of looking and
Of
sounding like Mike
looking and
Tyson?
sounding like Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
All right, what's next?
Jamie Sundays said, what's your guys' favorite women directors right now? I love Chloe Zhao. Nomadland became an instant classic for me.
I don't know how I mean, Nomadland is fantastic. And listen, I know there's some differing opinions on Eternals. I really like what she did with Eternals. Eternals is not a top 10 Marvel film for me, but she did things in it that no other Marvel film had done before. And I really like her. We were just talking about Patty Jenkins. I mean, I think she's terrific, 84 notwithstanding.
Bryce
And then-
Dallas Howard.
I mean, well, I need to see some feature work from Bryce Dallas.
That's fair.
Dallas Howard.
But man,
And hopefully she's
for
going to get
television
some
work.
bigger stuff like that. But I love Bryce Dallas Howard's work on Star Wars. And then why am I freezing on her name? Academy Award winner, James Cameron's ex-wife,
Catherine Bigelow.
Catherine Bigelow. Listen, her movie Detroit, which not a lot of people saw, and it's a heavy damn movie, but it's a great movie. Talk about John Boyega, Anthony Mackie. It's such a good movie, and again, she's got something on her mantle that her ex-husband James Cameron does not have, a Best Director Academy Award.
Yeah.
And so you got to put her up there too. Then there's the damn it, the Saoirse Ronan one.
Greta Gerwig.
Greta
I was
Gerwig.
going to say
I love
Greta
her.
Gerwig.
Little
Yeah.
Little
She
Women
doing
was so
Barbie?
good.
I
Spectacular.
really liked her Little Women. I really did not like that one she did with Saoirse Ronan that she got
Lady Bird.
Lady Bird. That got nominated for Best Picture. I didn't like that film at all.
I thought it was fine. It felt like a very indie coming of age story.
But her Little Women,
Little Women was incredible.
totally different. That was
That
incredible.
movie made me like Little Women. Like, I feel like I've always been about that story, and I bawled my eyes
she
out.
did.
Like, it was so good.
You did a tremendous job on
Yeah.
that. All right, what's next?
Jin the Jedi said, "Say what you will about AO5, but never."
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Thank you so much. AOS, thank you. But never were they as bad as what She-Hulk episode 3 was, and I loved episode 1 and 2. This was embarrassingly bad.
I mean, hey, listen, the great thing about shows and movies is that they all hit us in different ways, and that was your experience with it, and I respect that. I laughably disagree with you, though. Episode 3 of She-Hulk was the best one they've done so far, and exactly what this show should have been from the beginning to me.
I feel like it's going for a type of humor that's just not going to work for everybody. Like, I enjoyed it, but I can understand why people felt the humor wasn't hitting.
Well, I mean, the reality is nothing is going to work for everybody,
true.
no matter what you do. And there are also people that, for their own reasons, they don't want their comic book material to be comedy at all. I knew what this show was going to try to be. And this episode 3 is the representation of what it was trying to be.
Yes.
And I think what it should have been right from the beginning. So, hey, man, I respect that you didn't like it. That's cool. We all like and dislike different things. For me, I thought it was the best of the series so far. All right, what's next?
Dildar said, "For Ray, have you seen Dragon Ball Evolution? Worst anime adaptation ever. So bad the writer had to apologize online for it."
I don't even want to mention that movie. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow. It's
I've
really
never
that
seen a
bad?
man so sad in a Krispy Kreme hat before. It's really heartbreaking.
And we're not
think a
in
man
the
wearing a
AMC
Krispy Kreme hat would be in a great mood all the
Forgot I was
time.
wearing it.
Someone just said the glaze machine is broken. Like, that's the energy.
All right, what's next?
Let's not talk about that movie.
Mike's Movie Madness with that almost $20
Thank you,
super
Mike.
chat. Hey, John, have you seen people are using the EW virtual cover of Rings of Power and saying that is the intro of the show? Man, you weren't joking about how people try to manipulate stuff to fit their narrative. I saw that going around.
Yeah.
I did
Wow.
not. What are we talking about here?
There was like a virtual cover. It looked very 90s, like with all the actors kind of doing the like at the camera, and that was going around Twitter like, I can't, what are they doing with the budget? This is the
my
the
God.
opening
Intro to the
credit
show.
for the show.
Is them just being like, hello there. Like,
Wow.
The trolling is hard with the world
Now,
right
now,
now.
listen. I don't blame somebody if they see it and they legitimately thought that was the opening to their show, and they go, "Oh, well, that's garbage." Okay, that's
Well,
fine.
that didn't make
But
sense.
people,
They're just
I'm
posing.
sure there were probably people who knew full well that wasn't what
Someone
it
had
was,
to
and tried
start
to
it,
pass it
yeah.
off as
and
that.
just fact check yourself before you then say that's exactly what it is, right? Before you retweet that and go, this is the opening for the show. Maybe just double check. Like, I just found out that Steve Martin's daughter is actually 9, not 7. Fact checking. Boom.
Still incredible information. All right, what's next?
TJ Thomas said Rian Johnson should direct a Star Wars trilogy. Critics loved The Last Jedi and it made money. If Michael Bay can get 5 Transformers movies, then Ryan can get 3.
I love the congruency of that logic.
It's a different situation.
Yeah.
It's a very, very, very different situation. Like, again, he's great, but you have to do something to steady the waters in the Star Wars fandom. Even though, for the most part, it is not your fault, but like, just bringing him back. Let me bring in a sports analogy to this. And this will go over some people's heads. Hey, Ray,
Yeah.
you remember
It's
Tim
fine.
Tebow?
Yes, I remember
Okay.
Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow ended up being, I think, a solid could have been a solid backup quarterback. He brought a dimension to the quarterback game he had some skills and some tools that most quarterbacks in the NFL don't have. I think he made him a viable option. And I think a lot of teams looked at him as that, but they knew in the midst of Tebow mania that it would become a sideshow and a circus, not Tim's fault, but it would become a circus, and they just didn't want that distraction. I remember the New England Patriots actually looked to bring him in as a second or third string quarterback, just come in there, do the job, whatever. But it became such a media circus that, a coach like Bill Belichick was like, no, we don't need that surrounding our team. That's just too much of a distraction. It's too much of a circus. It is that times 100. You announce tomorrow that Rian Johnson's directing a trilogy. It is just going to reopen a lot of old wounds. And I just think it's going to create a horrible the news itself won't create a horrible toxic environment, but there are going to be those who decide to latch onto that and create a horrible toxic environment. And it's just why, when you have 100 other directors you can work with at this point. So, hey, listen, I think it's a bad rap. I do. I like Rian Johnson very much, but it's a bad idea to bring him back, I think.
Chris, let me try to help with that analogy. When Leah Michele was cast in Funny Girl. Yeah, it's like that. That's all.
I got it. A good comparison.
Actually, yeah.
That is actually a very good comparison.
Leah Michele, who went to the news today to remind us all that she can read.
Oh, wow. All right, what's next?
That all went over my head like a Krispy Kreme
hat. Sam Fisher said, I love In Bruges, one of my all-time favorites.
Listen, if you guys haven't seen In Bruges with Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, you absolutely must. It's a wonderful film.
How do you not love a fucking fairy tale? I am awesome. 418 said, I just finished season 1 of Game of Thrones, and man, is it epic. Lord Stark's death made my jaw drop.
Well, if you think that was bad.
If you think that.
Buckle up, buttercup.
But I will admit, it caught me so off guard because, I'm watching this thing. I'd never read the books. I don't care. I'm watching season 1. And, freaking dude, Sean Bean, gets his head cut off. I'm like, this is the main star of the show. You literally ended season. Again, I had never read the books. I didn't know anything about it. I got the spoilers warning up on the screen. I'm like, what? And I felt do I even want to watch these? They just killed off the main character. They just killed off the main guy. Little did I know. But yeah. All right, what's next?
Yeah. And I would also say to him that when you go back to the first season of Game of Thrones, the production value, it's still amazing, right? But when you make that jump to season 2 and onward, the production value jumps even further.
Yeah,
the
once they knew they had a hit on their hands,
yeah,
they started loosening up the purse strings a bit. All right, what's next?
Carlos Quezada said, you guys were spot on about the use of the Game of Thrones theme for the House of the Dragon. It brings you into the world of Westeros. Marvel understands this as well, using the Marvel theme before every project.
That's true. What were you about to say?
I got into a fight when I got home.
Uh-oh.
Where Logan was like, hey, why are they using that same theme song?
Boy.
That's stupid. And I was like, your argument is so stupid.
That's right, Chris.
And he flew through a window.
Your argument is stupid.
It was very, very civil.
But no,
I was
you're right.
why?
It's you get that brum, bum, 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 bum. That comes on screen. It's not just Marvel saying, hey, this is our label. It is mentally putting you into a headspace. It's oh yeah, here we are. We're in the Marvel world now. And I think, again, it was absolutely 100% the right move for them to use that Game of Thrones theme again, because that theme is not associated with Jon Snow or Dany or anybody else. It is the music of Westeros. And to use that for the beginning of House of the Dragon, which again is the story of Westeros, it's perfect. It cues it up. Emotionally, it brings you right in there. And it's 100% the right decision to use that music. All right, what's next?
Trevor said, I absolutely loved the 2 Rings of Power episodes. The characters, acting, visuals, and score all felt like Middle Earth.
Listen, I will agree with a lot of what you just said. Even in episode 1, the visuals, stunning. For TV shows, we throw around the term cinematic a lot. Yeah, this is what cinematic looks like. It truly, and the performances, I got nothing but good things to say about the performances. Absolutely. To me, it was the pacing or lack thereof of any of it in episode 1. But hey, listen, again, I love that you love the first episode. I hope more people do. All right, what's next?
We got Jasmine Jones. High School Musical 2 and Phineas and Ferb came out on August 17th, 2007. It's been 15 years, and High School Musical 2 is still the most watched Disney Channel movie with 17 million, and Phineas and Ferb got around 10.8 million views. Well, that can't be right. That just mathematically can't be right.
No.
Because I'm 20. Because I'm 20. Right?
15. Would it surprise you to find out I haven't watched either of these?
No, not in the slightest.
Yeah, I haven't watched
You
either of
weren't
these.
just like tearing into those High School Musical movies?
Yeah, oddly enough.
I will
was
say-
Zac Efron still in High School Musical 2?
Yeah.
Oh, he was?
And 3.
I actually never saw it either. Phineas and Ferb was a goddamn delight, though. I love that show.
Never saw it.
It's really fun.
Dan used to watch Phineas and
It was
Ferb,
cute.
for sure.
All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher said, I don't think I'll have time to watch Lord of the Rings movies before watching Ring of Power. Maybe I'll watch them this weekend.
Yeah, people have been asking me, do I need to watch Lord of the Rings films before watching Rings of Power? And I've been saying, well, I don't know because I haven't seen the Rings of Power show. I would say I think you need to watch the Lord of the Rings films before watching the show.
Oh.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah. Is it 100% necessity? No. But I feel like you'll probably get a little bit more out of it if you have.
Sure.
So if you can, great. If you can't, don't worry about it. Still watch Rings of Power. But I would recommend try to watch those before you do. All right, what's next?
Luis Enrique de la Peña said, prediction for Wakanda Forever. Nakia had T'Challa's baby during the snap. There's a time jump, and that baby becomes the new Black Panther.
Not enough of a time jump. Because that baby is 6. Or 7.
The baby ages as Wanda's own children did. Just
Yeah, just
Very
all the just like
rapidly.
I don't know. I mean, they'd have to put in some other story mechanic to explain it, because just on its surface it doesn't work. But who knows?
the
It is
snap
the
speeds up
MCU.
your sperm.
It speeds up your sperm.
That's just science, John.
Oh boy.
Was that in Avengers Rear End game? Oh, I'll show myself out. Al Rensha.
Can't open one
No,
eye.
What happened?
Okay. Continue.
Al Rensha said Shia in Megapolis with a great cast. Sounds great.
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf just got cast in that.
I've not heard that. Well, I mean, listen, the dude's a tremendous performer. I'm sure he's going to deliver a great performance in it. All right, what's next?
We have Max Vem saying, newsflash, Yaya Abdul-Mateen. The second has been cast in the sequel to Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
It was all a setup for the big press release coming.
And he said, they cut off the part where he looked directly at the camera and said, and I love doing clown work.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what they totally misquoted him. All right, what's next?
16Shooters said, the Rings of Power soundtrack is fantastic. If the show is as good as this, I'm going to be very happy. Have you listened to it? Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
I've not listened to it, but I will say the music is wonderful.
Oh, good.
And again, I
Yeah.
feel like that's part of it. Even if the show is a little slow, there's just going to be so much love of like, we're back in Middle Earth, that people will just.
And one of the things I
Hang
said in
in.
my reaction coming out theater was, you really do feel like you were
Yeah.
brought back into Middle Earth, and I did appreciate it for that. Even in the first episode, that's something I appreciate about the first episode. But the music is pretty damn magical through the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Joey Johnson said, just wanted to say I love y'all.
Thank you, Joey. Appreciate that, man. And what are we wrapping up with?
And David Diaz with the $10 super chat.
Just to be supportive. Thank you so much for that, David. And guys, that'll do it for today's episode of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so much for your support. Once again, guys, don't forget, a little bit later today at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that's 6 p.m. East Coast time, we're going to be doing our She-Hulk after show, talking in all the spoiler details about it, and we hope you guys will come and join us for that. So, guys, I want to thank everybody in the room, from Chris Carr, right beside her, of course, is Amy Newman. Over there in the glorious hat, we got Ray Ora, and beside him running the show today, Jonathan Voico.
Well, I'm somewhere. Here I
That's
am.
not him. There's Jonathan. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. That'll do it for us for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, Makes your sperm faster.
Maybe.